It's not bad. Help me!
Well, I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown and amuse you?
Oh, it's good to be back.
I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy.
Yeah, maybe after 9/11 where everybody got so sensitive. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden.
Hello, you don't know? It means all no fuckers know.
I'm as mad as hell, but I'm not going to take this anymore.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh man, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Right before the Top 100 series, I decided to do Audible. I got hardly any for holiday movies, but I got top 2010 comedies real fast from 5 different people. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting list before I go on my break, and I think after tonight I'm going to deserve that break. I think I've earned it after tonight. Back on the show, Brian Michaels. Always just leads the charge with saying, I understand you're going to hate this list. I'm going to send it anyways, and basically you can shut up about it. How are you feeling tonight, and how do you think you're going to do?
You know, I don't know for sure, because I know just for you alone, I know there's some movies on my list that you love as well. I know there's some that you really don't. So we'll have to see how this goes.
Fair. Zach Ford, you've been on the show recently. How do you think you're going to do? And do you feel like you'll have the most? I've never seen that movie from anybody else on the show.
Well, I feel like I live in a bubble because I feel like everyone should see every movie that I see because I have great taste. But I guess it's not true. But I definitely fucked up this list. I usually prepare so hard for the show and watch 20 movies in advance, and I put this list together in 15 minutes and regretted every decision I made after, and realized 8 more movies I should have added, and made so it is what it is. I'm accepting my failure now. I'm gonna do my best. This is the end of me admitting my failure. That I'll do my best defending myself moving forward.
All right, and we got Jay Burns on the show. Jay, how do you feel like you're going to do tonight? You haven't been on the show in a while. I don't know when the last time you were on, but how do you think you're going to do?
I think I'll do all right. I didn't go with ultra basic picks, but I went with shit that has made me laugh. So that's what I think of when I think of a 2010 comedy. I'm not going to put
That is going to be. I will bring that up in a second. Next, we've got Brooklyn. Besides Kaleb Koho, you are bound to have the most recent picks possible, and we're all proud of you for it. How do you feel like you're going to do? And do you think recency bias will have any effect on the choices you take today?
Recency bias will definitely have a choice of what I put on my list. This will probably be like every other list that I have on this show. 10 through 4 are on par, and then you get 3 to 1, and then that's where everything falls apart. So.
Fair. And we got Chance. That's what we've talked about. Do you think your list is going to hold up?
This list is very catered to me, which I don't think is going to win me a lot of Cody points, but I do think I have a good list of comedies, and I feel like I could have finished last, absolutely, but I have the safety net of Brooklyn, Brian, and Jay, so I think I'm going to do all right. So we'll see what happens.
The overall thing is, listen, I sent out 2010's comedies, and some people sent in, I don't know if they know what a comedy is. If you chuckle once or you chuckle, if it's a laugh a minute. I don't know what you can call it, but I will tell you some of your movies. What? Listen, there's 5 people. It's going to be a little bit longer show. There is a rule that's in effect. I need you to listen to this rule right now. If you go on too long about the production designs of your comedy movie from the 2010s, I'm going to probably tell you to shut up and let's move on. Listen, or if you go into a quoting spree for 14 minutes about the movie, if you just keep quoting it, I will probably just kick you off the call.
These feel like very Zach specific rules.
That one's not. If you think I could quote any movie I've ever seen, you do not understand.
I'll just ask him to name the character name, and we'll be done after that. All right, so how the show works. Everybody brings in the top 10 list. 10 through 8, 7 through 4. Trade ones when we get to the top. Yes, it's 100% a jab at you and Luca. You are the only two that have ever talked about production design on this shit. All right, so we're going to start off with Brian. We're going to go to your 10, 9, 8. If you have something higher, yikes. Go ahead.
All right, number 10, I have a movie most of you probably haven't even heard of called Detention. Number 9 is 7 Psychopaths. And number 8 is MacGruber. All right, number 10. Nobody's ever heard of this. Even less of you have even seen it. And if half of you would probably hate it if you watched it. But I always use the 10 spots, really guilty pleasure kind of thing. This movie is a weird, it's a teen comedy, horror, slasher, time travel, sci-fi. It's all kinds of weird stuff mixed into one. The only notable name in it is Josh Hutcherson, but it is so much fun. It's so over the top and so weird. You find yourself saying, what the fuck the whole time. It's basically like a 80s teen comedy kind of through an Edgar Wright style. So anyway, check it out if you can. It's a lot of fun. Weird guilty pleasure of mine. 7 Psychopaths. Martin McDonagh's follow-up to In Bruges, which I think is an amazing film. This one doesn't quite live up to that. That's why this one's a little bit lower on my list. But it's got a great cast. It's still got great writing. And I love this film. And number 8 is MacGruber. Going for a little bit more lowbrow approach after Martin McDonagh. This is a movie that people I think most people hated until they actually watched it, and then it's actually got a lot of people that are big fans because I myself didn't like the skits to Saturday Night Live, but this movie's pretty damn hilarious. And I hear they're finally going to make a sequel, probably straight to Netflix or something. I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay. Yes. So first one, Detention. When looking up, I saw 14 genres behind it, and I said, don't know if I'm going to venture down that path. It was available on Pluto. It was available like one of those ad sites. I don't know which one it was, but I wasn't going to watch ads with it. So
you really should. It's a ton of fun.
I will give it a shot, but I was not going to waste it on a 10. Your number 9, 7 Psychopaths. I actually like this movie a little bit more than In Bruges. I don't know if I like In Bruges. I think it's fine. But 7 Psychopaths, I really enjoyed. I thought this movie. I guess it's just maybe the cast of characters in this one. I think it's funnier than with In Bruges. So I definitely sign off on 7 Psychopaths. I enjoy that. And MacGruber is not a Cody movie. Thanks. Number 8 is MacGruber. This is a movie that I have heard when it came out, everybody rip it apart, and I was going to stay away from it, and I never went back to it. And now, I hear it brought up between some people in the community, and I just didn't want to risk it. I wanted to save you a spot, not want to kill you for MacGruber. But maybe I would have liked it. I don't know. You might have missed out. All right, so we're going to go to Zach now. You're 10, 9, 8.
All right, I'm going to memorize it and start my timer. Okay.
Proud of you.
My number.
Time off to start his timer.
I already forgot what they are, too. So my number 10, I believe, is Hail Caesar. I changed it like 3 times. Yeah, okay. Number 9 is Game Night.
Yikes.
Okay. Number 8 is What We Do in the Shadows.
Yikes.
Okay, so you get to talk about one. Go ahead.
Hey, Hail Caesar, Coen Brothers, I think I like their comedy side of them maybe better than their more thriller side. Hail Caesar is extremely funny. Ehrenreich, gives one of the best comedic performances. And even if you don't, like the movie, you gotta admire the, 3-minute out in Ehrenreich. Twas might be such a simple thing. I'm done. My time is up. Good movie.
Thomas, just you wait. Just you wait. Oh, they're coming. Okay. Man, the other ones got skipped, but Hail Caesar, I hate. I hate this movie. I did not enjoy it when I watched it. I did not find it funny by any means. I thought, it's well acted, but it wasn't anything. Coen Brothers are very hit and miss with me. Either I like their stuff a lot, and it could be in my top 100, or they could be in my bottom 100. Hail Caesar is one that I definitely don't enjoy. Koho does, and when he brings it up, it makes me hate this movie more. So I'm sorry for that. All right, now we got Jay. 10, 9, 8.
Let me unmute myself right fast. My 10 is Bridesmaids.
Skip. Oh, sorry.
My 9 is The Dictator.
Wow.
And my 7 and my 8 is The World's End.
Oh, yikes.
Okay. All right. Well, I will talk about one. Let's talk about the one that probably everybody just threw off to the side because it's a Sacha Baron Cohen film. Look, The Dictator is fucking dumb, but it's funny, and that last little speech right at the end perfectly encompasses everything wrong with American politics, and it's hilarious because everybody's just looking at him like, why are you saying this out loud? You're saying the quiet part out loud. I quote this movie with like 3 of my friends still to this day. I fucking laugh my ass off while I watch this movie.
Okay, so The Dictator, definitely saw this in college and high school, maybe high school, I'm not sure. But I laughed my ass off when I watched this movie the first time. I will still stand by that "Are you having a boy or an abortion?" will be one of the funniest lines that has ever been uttered in a comedy. I'm like, gosh, that's insane that they went there. It's stupid at the end. Like it's stupid as it goes on. There's some hit and miss jokes, but I can, at the bottom spot, I will respect it. I probably will never watch The Dictator. I want to keep it up there as one of those special ones through college that I thought was so funny. All right, Brooklyn, 10-9-8, and keep your skips to yourself.
But you can use yikes on my show.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 10 is Cabin in the Woods. Number 9 is Between Two Ferns, the movie, and number 8 is Good Boys, which I believe is still. All right.
Okay, you're all on your own. Go ahead.
So, Cabin in the Woods is actually my number 10 of the decade overall, and it's kind of fits to have my number 10 of 2010's comedies. It's a horror comedy. I like kind of the cynicism of it, like how Robert Duvall is just like they're kind of going through the motions of like killing people every year is just kind of like a thing, and also some of the kills in the end are very like happy tree time or like happy like. That cartoon show from Adult Swim that's very violent. Number 9, Between Two Ferns, the movie. It's a Netflix special. It's a continuation of Zach Galifianakis' internet series. His character is kind of a combination of Michael Scott and like Eric Andre, but actually funny. Not whatever Eric Andre is doing. And then Good Boys. But I believe that is still a yikes.
No, I think it's open. I think you know
that's open. You got to look this up.
Very optimistic thinking there. Continue.
So Good Boys is like one of 2 Superbad-esque films that came out that year. It's more leaned towards middle school, but it's really cool. They kind of tackle more adult situations that they normally wouldn't, and I like how they have like these newer names come in, but like they use those as like insults, like or you hear like Atticus and like Atticus Smith or like Atticus McDonald, you know what I mean? But yeah, just a good time.
Okay, so I'm really confused for a second. I don't mean to derail the show, but you said Robert Duvall's in Cabin. Is that right?
No,
I just
he
watched
is
this movie
He is
yesterday.
not. Robert Duvall is not in Cabin in the
right.
Woods.
Sorry. No.
Okay, no, I was thinking there was another Cabin in the Woods, and I thought I did a bad job with
I mixed them up.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
I was like, what fucking Cabin in the Woods?
Who are you talking about?
Okay.
Richard Jenkins,
anyways,
maybe?
Are you talking about? Are you? Okay. Anyway, somebody can look up. I don't know. There's another old guy in there. I can't remember. He's from he's the dad in Step Brothers. I don't know his name. I'm terrible typing. Anyways, Cabin in the Woods. I don't understand. I'm confused. I didn't laugh. I don't think I laughed one time in this entire movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was a really good movie. I thought this movie was crazy. But I didn't laugh one single time. I thought like the idea of everything was funny. Like how how intricate and how set up everything was, and like the picking of the way they died, like that stuff's interesting. I just didn't laugh at all. So I was really confused. But you actually got me to watch this movie because it's been on my watch list for so long. So hats off to you. This next one I never heard of before you put it on the list. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never heard of this movie. I think I've seen like something from it, but I didn't know what the movie was. So I passed on it just because Brooklyn recommended it. No, and it was 9. It was 9. So I wasn't gonna dive in. The man that loves the Love Guru as much as you, I'm gonna pass on something sometimes. Okay. And Good Boys. Good Boys I actually enjoyed last year. I haven't went back to it since. I thought it was funny at the time. But it's kind of one of those ones that come every once in a while that's funny but kind of forgettable and you move on. So I don't hate the choice. That's fine. Way too early, and I don't know if it's going to age as well after time, but not a bad start, I guess. You did pick the best movie for me to watch out of this list, even though I don't think it's a comedy. So I approve of all the things I watched. You gave me a really good one to watch. Okay, Chance, yours.
Okay, so my number 10 is 50-50. My number 9 is 21 Jump Street. And my number 8 is Four Lions. Yeah. All right. So going to my number 10. I can hear the criticism for number 10 now. It's not as heavy into the comedic, but I do think that when it's funny, it's really hilarious, and I do think it's a great story about a guy who is put in this really bad, really dire situation, and instead of being sad about it, he finds new life. He finds the upside. He finds humor. I think Levitt's incredible in the film. I think his back and forth with Rogan is funny, and I do think it's better than some movies that have above it, but because it's not as heavy in the comedy. That's why it's so low. But when it's funny, it's hilarious. Going to my number 9, 21 Jump Street. This is a movie that, much like everyone, I had no hope for. It's like the reboot of 21 Jump Street with the dude from the shitty Step Up film. Yeah, pass. But then I think I know why, Paul, but I'm gonna save it just in case anyone else. I think that when you watch this movie, I think it ascends because of Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. I feel like if you put this in the hands of two other actors, it wouldn't work as well. But the two of them are so funny, and so they have such a great back and forth. It's kind of like a Riggs Murtaugh dynamic. They really elevate the material, any material that they're given. I think they're great. I think the Ice Cube's really funny in this movie. Has so many quotable lines, so many quotable scenes. I think it's, of the mainstream comedy, is definitely one of the better ones to come out of the past 10 years. And my number 8 is Four Lions. This is a British comedy about a group of Muslims who try and form a successful terrorist cell, which I know does not sound funny, but it's hilarious. And I think that what works about some of the fact that they're absolute idiots, which I think is a very unique portrayal of characters like this, because usually in any other film they'd be like the outright big beard malevolent villain, but here no, they're just a crop of morons. And I think that's a really good way to counteract the appeal of terrorism. I think Riz Ahmed's really great in this movie. I love Kyvan Novak's performance. I think he's had this read to him, he's just so wide-eyed and clueless. It gets a laugh out of me every time. And anytime just there's a sequence of a bombing, it sounds wrong, but it's hilarious. When things go boom, it's hilarious. So I would highly encourage anyone to check this out. I think it's a really underrated film of the past 10 years, and definitely one of my favorite comedies of the past of the decade.
Just to tag in real quick, Richard Jenkins.
Yeah,
I think is the one you're thinking of from Cabin in the Woods. Okay, so you're 50-50. I stayed away from this movie not because I didn't want to watch it. It's on my watch list, but I didn't want to see it with YLS judging on it. I just want to watch it by itself. That's fair. And I went through some. I passed a lot to Paul and said, should I watch it, should I not, just to get some clarity before I watch it. So this one I saved, so I haven't seen it. I'm really surprised this next one wasn't Yikes or on anybody else's list. Maybe the other, I don't know. But I think 21 Jump Street is one of the, I think as much obvious choices from 2000s comedies would have been, I thought this one was one of the clear, obvious ones from the 2010s. I love 21 Jump Street. I think it's one of the funniest comedies of the decade by far. I think it doesn't get as much love as I think it should. Even in this community, I think this community is now liking it. But even when I talk to friends that are not in this community, they don't really talk about 21 Jump Street as being one of those funny movies. I absolutely love it. And I like 22 just as much as 21. And your next one, this is one that me and Paul went back and forth on if I should watch it or if I not. I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, so I didn't want to rent it at that point, but I'm going to check it out because I think I would actually enjoy it, especially how you described it. So I'm going to give it a shot, but out of YLS. So not bad. All right. The gloves come off. Everybody gets to talk now. Everybody gets to throw shit and shade at each other. So this is gonna be fun. Brian, you're gonna love it because you get to lead off. So give us your show.
All right. It's been a while. I'm just doing one at a time now, right?
Yes, 1 out of 10.
Okay. All right. My number 7 is Jojo Rabbit. None? Wow. Okay. That's a little surprising to me.
Where's Paul? Where's Paul?
Yeah, I mean Jojo Rabbit. I mean it's got some dramatic moments to it too, but it's definitely a comedy. It's one that I was looking forward to because of Taika Waititi, of course, and then of course the great cast he assembled. But then it actually really kind of it impressed me with not only the way it the comedy in it, but all the way it has kind of a touching story of this young boy and then what happens to his mom and all this other stuff, and then especially the relationship with him and the girl. The only reason it's not even higher on my list is actually the thing that I disliked about it. I don't know about dislike, but was not as impressed with as that everyone else seemed to love was Taika Waititi as Hitler. I thought that part just seemed a little too silly and kind of out of place. And like I would have rather, I think it would have been a better movie if it was more straightforward and not with those little fantasy sequence with Hitler. But other than that, I just really love this movie, and I'm shocked it's not on here, especially with Jay.
I don't think this movie's all that much of a comedy, bro. I think they're
Sure. I get to talk first. I know he called you out, but no.
Sorry.
Tempting people. I don't get. I am so mixed on this movie because people. There are friends in this community that I have that hate this movie. I love this movie. I find it very funny. I like the Hitler moment. I've seen it one time, so maybe if rewatch it doesn't age well. I think the kid is fantastic in this movie. I think he's hilarious throughout. I think the overall, like, basically, I guess it's the shock humor that while they went there, like they decided. I think that helps. I don't know. There are certain movies with that shock humor that doesn't age well, so maybe on a rewatch I don't like it as much. And there is drama moments in this, but I think there's a lot of comedic moments. Now, if you're not on board with Taika as Hitler, maybe the comedy doesn't fully work for you. I could see that go in that direction, but I enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was a bad movie, but I like Joker, so I'm in the minority in general in this entire community, so that's fine. Joker meant beautiful. Okay,
my number one comedy, Joker.
Oh yeah, it's your spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. You guys can all talk about it later. Okay, everybody on Jojo Rabbit, why did this not make your list, and why is Brian wrong?
I'm actually in the minority where I find I'm in the minority in this community where I actually really like Taika as Hitler. I actually think he's very funny, and I like the movie quite a lot. But I think Taika has 1, 2, 3 comedies from the 2010s that are better than this. Like you said, Yikes What We Do in the Shadows is going to appear on my list later. But yeah, I think Hunt for Little People is better. I think Thor Ragnarok's a better comedy. Just Jojo Rabbit's great. I love Jojo Rabbit, but yeah, this is not one I'd consider for my list.
Anybody else want to talk about it?
Jay was so excited. I thought he was going to burst in, so I was just being patient.
I was waiting for everybody else to get done. It's not that I'm gonna like destroy it or anything. I like this movie. I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I love this movie. It's just like halfway through it stops being a comedy and just gets super dark, and then is just a heartwarming coming of age film versus what? The Stephen Merchant scene is hilarious though.
That's true.
Yeah, no. They didn't make my list. It's not even in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
So I might have been asked to be muted. I don't know because there's weird nicknames being said. So am I allowed to speak?
Yes, you're allowed.
Thank you, Mr. Newberry. So I actually do like the movie quite a bit. I would say, and I find it funny, if not a bit inconsistent. With its humor, I'd say the reason why I probably mostly like it is more the dramatic elements. I think they really work for me, and thematically, and with Thomas McKenzie's character, it really works. Whenever Cody smiles, I lose every train of thought I have. Next.
I was trying to message somebody privately, and I sent it to the wrong chat. So everything. Go ahead.
Am I not Candyman?
You're not Candyman.
Oh, I thought it was my sweater.
Somebody was getting a snack and their bag was rattling, so I said, "Hey, mute yourself." But I wasn't trying to call them out.
Oh, I thought it was me. I thought it was a race thing. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell?
Oh yes, Chance. You've known me long enough. That's where I'm gonna go. All right, I think we're done with JoJo fucking Rabbit. Okay, let's move on.
I was waiting for Mute Wolf Cop, but okay, yeah, sure. Maybe I'll be Candyman.
Oh, fuck you. Lucky you gave me broadcast news. Okay, let's move on.
Number 6, Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
What, are you trying to play to Paul Yama or what?
I don't know.
He's trying to get him back into favor with us. Go ahead.
If I agree with Paul on something, that happens rarely. So, now this is a movie that I never understood why it wasn't more successful when it came out. It came out. I actually went and saw it day one in theaters to a pretty much empty theater. Nobody else I know went and saw it in theaters. But then it's kind of another one that since then has kind of grown this following as more people have watched it and seen it's actually a very funny movie. I mean, I actually, the Lonely Island guys, I enjoy some of their stuff, other stuff not so much. But this movie just hit all the right notes for me. I mean, it just as a mockumentary and just as a straight comedy, had tons of cameos in it. The songs are hilarious. But it's just a movie that I think that people have finally grown to appreciate, and I think it is one of the funniest movies I saw in the 2010s.
I love Popstar. I saw it in theaters. I'm not a huge.
Oh, you're the other one. Okay, cool.
I'm not, and yeah, we were there. That was a few rows apart from me.
We were the only two people who saw it.
Yeah. Andy Samberg, I don't like normally. I don't like him in his own comedies. I think the first movie that I actually cared for him in is Spring Break. I think the one that just came out.
Palm Springs.
Oh, fuck. I liked him in that, but when he's a part of the Lonely Island is where I enjoy him the most because I think that works with his comedy. And I thought this movie I had no expectations whatsoever of this movie, and I think that's why I liked it so much. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I want to rewatch it. But no, great choice. It's so underrated. I don't think a lot of people have seen it. Maybe they thought it was a fake movie. I don't even know, but I thought at first it was fake. I think it's great. So, everybody else on Popstar, why is it on your list?
So All Stars. What I was trying to do was Oh, sorry. Never mind. What?
No, yeah, bro. You go ahead.
I was just going to say. Previously in the past, I've taken a drink whenever I haven't seen a movie, but I'm changing that. So I'm taking a piece of candy. Sour Patch Kids for anybody who wants to play along at home.
Fair.
All right. So Popstar. Oh yeah, you guys, Zach, you go ahead.
You're damn right.
Can you guys just stop being polite in general? Just fucking run over each other. I don't give a shit. Let's go to the last one for 2 months. Yell at each other.
Raise your hands and you can call us.
No, I'm not doing the raise your hand. Just talk.
I like the movie a good amount. The Lonely Island can be a bit bro-y in its touch for me. That runs me a little bit off. I think they're also satirizing that bro-iness, but there's a fine line between satirizing and being it. So that just always pushed me off, but still it's a very funny movie, and I would say top tier Lonely Island material, at least.
Someone's wife is yelling in the background. I think that this one I did consider for my list. I was late to the game. I did not show up to support in theaters. I know, great shame. But when I checked it out, it was very funny. And yeah, I mean, I like Hot Rod. I wasn't super huge on Hot Rod. I always felt like a movie that was just handed to them. This feels like something they really wanted to do, and I think that they really put their talents, their A+ talents, to the forefront. I think the songs are hilarious. I think the interplay between the three guys and just the crew they have around them, I think, is great. And yeah, I think this is a really funny comedy. Wouldn't make my list, but I don't hate it being on anyone else's.
Jay?
I watched it once and laughed like 2 times during this movie.
Wow.
Which is weird because I love The Lonely Island. But this movie just wasn't funny to me.
Wow.
That hurts. All right, what's your 5, Brian?
Number 5, I think, is another love it or hate it in this community, and that is This Is the End. This Is the End is full of a cast of people who I think can be very funny, but the weird thing is I often don't like a lot of their stuff, like especially when you get like James Franco and Seth Rogen, like the Pineapple Express, some of those things. I didn't really like that. So a lot of their movies are very hit and miss for me. But here, I like this movie. I love the way they kind of play themselves. Essentially, they're playing themselves along with lots of other cameos, people playing themselves. It's like heightened versions. It's like a fictional version of them. And I just really love the way that they not only were able to, make this funny story, but they also satirized themselves along the way and kind of showed, that they aren't, all that serious about themselves. And so I think that one's real funny. I know there are a lot of people who don't like it for whatever reasons, but this is another one that I just laugh my ass off beginning to end.
This is a movie that I need to rewatch. I did not rewatch it for this list. I laughed really hard the first time I watched this, but I was definitely under the influence when I first saw this movie, and I definitely thought this shit was hilarious. Now, looking back, I don't know where it's going to age, but I think Danny McBride in this movie is absolutely fucking incredible. I don't find him super funny anymore, but like in this movie, I think he's absolutely hilarious. And then all the other, I guess it's like the real life situation, like everybody calling each other by the real names, and like the Emma Watson stuff, like that stuff is just funny to me. Again, it's going to have
Channing
to
Tatum, come on.
Yeah. So
His name is Channing Tatum.
I will definitely have to check it back out. But yeah. So what does everybody else think about this band?
Just Channing, a fucking gimp. No, this is actually one that was very, very close to making my list. It was on like the top, like 13 to 12. Sarah is hilarious in this film, and yeah, I do think that I like the concept of them like aping their own personalities, like them being like exaggerated versions themselves. Like, how do we see them as just like a heightened version of that? I think it's hilarious, and yeah, I really do like the bigger theme of this movie, just being a good person. That's what matters in life. I think that's actually like a really interesting moral one to have in this, and I really appreciated. And it was close, but there's another movie with the and end in it that came out the same year that I find better. So that's why this is in my list.
I found a better movie with his and this as well.
The three scenes that make me... Go ahead, Bert.
Fucking yell at each other. Do it.
So this did make my short list. In particular, probably my favorite moment in it is after Jonah is with the devil or whatever, and then it's like the next morning he's like, so last night wasn't fun, but like obviously what happened. Yeah, this probably should have made my list, knowing now how skewed my list is. But yeah.
What is the rest of your list?
Oh, you're gonna find out.
The three scenes that cracked me up the most in this have already been talked about. The Emma Watson scene, Michael Cera slapping the shit out of Rihanna's ass just because you really think, oh no, now my internet's fucking up.
No, you're good.
You're fine.
And Channing Tatum. Those are the three things that cracked me up the most about this movie. And like 3 or 4 scenes just aren't good enough for me to be like, this is one of the best comedies of the 2010s. That's why I didn't make the list.
Yeah, I normally hate Michael Cera and everything, but this is super bad that he gets a pass. Okay. Your next one, Brian.
My number 4 should be in everyone's top 5, and that is What If, also known as the F Word.
Again, trying to play to Paul Young.
And Cody. I told Cody someone was going to do this just to get his
This is a movie I have been trying to get people to watch for years. And just finally, in the past couple months, a lot of people seem to be jumping on this bandwagon, loving this movie. But this is the best romantic comedy to come along in years. I think Daniel Radcliffe has been making great choices in his post-Harry Potter career with just a wide variety of projects from Swiss Army Man and this and Guns Akimbo and then some dramas and stuff. Zoe Kazan is amazing in it. The best part of the movie is actually the two best friends, which is Adam Driver and Mackenzie Davis. I mean, I just had sex and I'm about to eat nachos. I mean, Adam Driver is very underrated in his comedy. I think people don't give him credit for how good he is at comedy. And this one and This Is Where I Leave You are two of the best examples of that. But this is it's a great romantic comedy. It's great. It's a straight comedy. It's got some touching moments if you want some more drama to it. But again, this is just a movie that everybody should check out if they can, because not enough people have seen this movie, although they are finally starting to. That's all I got to say. It's on Amazon Prime, by the way. Everybody go watch it.
Yeah. I fucking love this movie. It's 100% recency. I just watched it. No one told me to watch it, so just to clear the air, and I only told Boatman to watch it after I watched it. So I'm not taking credit for anybody watching this movie, but I have screamed about it ever since I watched it. I think this movie's incredible. I had zero expectations. It hooked me instantly. And like I was so willing to rewatch it the same day. That never happens with a movie. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. I'm not a huge Daniel Radcliffe fan. I think Daniel Radcliffe is very annoying to me in some things, but this movie, it just worked perfectly with him and Zoe Kazan.
Yeah, Kazan.
their situational and awkward comedy, like jokes back and forth with each other, works so well. It seemed like an actual relationship. Adam Driver is incredible. His girlfriend in the movie is also funny. It's a quick watch. It's so funny. It's in and out. I think this movie's incredible. And yes, Paul, you can have all the credit, and Brian, you can have all the credit. It's a fantastic movie. Please go watch it before it leaves Brian. Go. It's open floor, so go ahead.
I talked about this movie before you did, so I think I need to be added as well. I never would have thought to add this into 2010's comedies. I do like. I think the funniest scene in the movie might be whenever she just got home from a night with Daniel and she's talking with her boyfriend, and then like she's in the mood, and then he's going over to him, and he's in the middle of this big like UN meeting, and it's that kind of like situational awkwardness. Yeah,
it's great.
I seen this movie before and you did. I shared about it at Show and Tell in kindergarten, so fuck you all. Anyways, it's a very charming, watchable movie, but also doesn't subvert the formula at all. It truly follows it, so it's like good and watchable. But what I always want to say is the score is really great. It's done by AC Newman of the band The New Pornographers. You should listen to that and watch the movie side by side because New Pornographers are great. That's it.
I haven't seen it. I don't know if I will now because I don't want to be seen as a bandwagon fan because everyone's been
bandwagon.
Bandwagon. So I haven't watched it yet, but I do want to now. So there you go.
Jay,
I haven't seen this movie.
There. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to Zach. 7 through 4.
Okay. So my number 7 is Sword of Trust. I feel like I love this movie and I call it the wrong title all the time. It's Sword of Trust, not Sword of Truth. Okay. I'm really turning into a mom and I'm pretty worried about that. Okay, timer. So this is directed by the late Len Shelton, a wonderful director, especially in 2010's, had a bunch of great movies. A lot of people like Laggies. You should watch all the rest of her movies, not just her one big mainstream one that has Sam Rocco on it. Okay, Sword of Trust is very much an indie comedy. It's Mark Maron's probably best performance. It's about he owns a pawn shop that people come in to turn in a antique sword that they try to like lie and play is this like conspiracy theory sword that proves that the South won the Civil War. So it's and none of them believe it at all, and then they're trying to sell it to a bunch of people who truly believe it. So it's playing, with the conspiracy theorist world, and that that great Southern. It doesn't fully, make fun of them, no matter how much they may deserve it. But it's playing it like they're funny because they're doing funny things, not because they're just like all assholes. But Mark Maron gives a great dramatic speech in the middle of it that is worth watching just to prove they can act. But it also just like kind of an ode to screwball comedies, the way it delivers the jokes and handles the scenes that I recommend watching. Jillian Bell's in it. People like her. Watch her as well.
What was your last line before you ended?
I have no idea what words I ever said.
Okay, so this was on because you gave me a lot of all the people that I had to do work on. It was yours. I am probably the person that is not a fan of Jillian Bell the most. I do not find her hilarious. I do not find her funny. I find her annoying. So I pretty much stayed away from this movie. The way you pitched it makes you want to watch it, but I stayed away for that because
she's toned down for what she does in other
my
movies.
bias for her when she's on screen is really high. Like I find her super annoying. Like how most people feel right now about Melissa McCarthy in comedies. That's how it is for her in this one. So I stayed away from it. Anybody else? Has anybody else seen this movie? Raise your hand if you've seen this movie. All right, everybody, check it out. Cool. What's your 6?
Okay.
Save the show 15
Can
minutes.
you bring up the graphic because I forgot what my number 6 is? I lost it. My number 6 is. I'm really professional today. They came together. I'm like on camera with kids all day. Give me a break. Okay. They came together. David Wayne, from my future hometown of next summer, Shaker Heights, Ohio, is a great comic director, and I would say very underrated as far as one of the best working comic directors I think we have. Part of that is his work relationship with Paul Rudd, who I've already said was the second best actor working today, famously on the Your List Sucks episode. This is a straight up romantic comedy parody. It takes the formula, the tropes. There's every single line and second is a joke, and of course when you're going joke every second, not everything is going to work, but I feel like 90% really land. And Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler, just because they're so believable as actually being romantic comedy actors, they can really pull off also just a completely fucking with the genre so well. So I know some people don't love this movie, but I think just laugh for laugh, it's probably one of the funniest movies I have on my list. It's pure funny. But.
Well, I hope you have some laugh for laugh because it's comedies. Anyways, I saw this movie. I was very mixed on it. I laughed a little bit. I had fun with it, but it wasn't something that I think I will go back to anytime soon. I thought it was fine. I think Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler play off each other really well in this movie. I think they're really great in the comedic moments. I just didn't love the story as much. Everybody else on They Came Together, save Brian for the end because he had a reaction.
I do quickly want to add top tier basketball scenes, and I want to make a list of worst basketball movies, and this could be in it.
Catwoman's definitely number one on that one. We don't need to have that show. But first, I will say I did watch it. The title ring a bell goes. My mind went to another movie, but I have seen this. I watched it when around the time Isn't It Romantic came out last year because I heard this was like a very similar concept, and I watched it. It's better than Isn't It Romantic. I can say that shit. You're not saying much there. It's better than that movie, but yeah, it didn't make that big an impression on me. I think it's pretty good. It's okay, but yeah, it wouldn't even sniff my list.
And Jay and Brooklyn, you haven't seen this movie, correct?
Brian,
go ahead.
my chips.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this is actually one when I was making my short list. It was on there, just didn't make my top 10. As somebody who watched The State, when it was on like crazy, and then who's gone on to watch other movies like Wet Hot American Summer, those kind of things, I knew exactly going in what to expect. It's very much that State David Wayne style to it. It's also very much almost a straight up spoof movie, kind of like Airplane is to disaster movies or Naked Gun to cop films. It's like just constant jokes, like he was saying, and not everyone's going to hit when you're doing like constant jokes. But for somebody who knew what to expect going into it and who kind of likes that style, I thought it was a very funny movie. It just didn't make my top 10.
Fair. All right. What's your fifth? And Koho, do the job for him because
thank you.
The diva Zach Ford is on. You can't do it.
Of course.
Koho just replaced them with his own picks and picked like say them.
My number 5 is Hamilton. So there's some really So my number 5 is Frances Ha. Greta Gerwig, the greatest wittiser. What's the word for being a witty writer? The great wit of the 2010s. I feel like I see my sense of humor most delivered from her perspective, even though she has a very different perspective that she's bringing to these indie comedies. But I like relate to this movie so hard. I feel like I've known this character, and these people were always like the funniest people in my life that like were charming and endearing, but also kind of directionless and just a mess. And I think that helped me attach to it. Frances Ha, it's one of my favorite movies of the decade. All of my top 5 are like top 20 of the decade for me. And another great, Adam Driver's in it for 5 minutes, but he wears a great hat, and that's funny. So that's what I got. That's my time. Frances Ha, watch it.
So I watched 4 of his movies, and then I got to this one, and I messaged Paul, and it's basically like a kid wanting to go like play outside, and his mom keeps telling him, "No, you have other things to do." This is Paul and me in this movie. He knows I'm not going to enjoy it, but I want to cross it off my list, but he doesn't want me to rip it apart because he knows it's not going to be a movie for me. So I've stayed away from this movie. I'm not allowed to watch it at this point, so I don't know if it's funny at all. I think the movies I watched of his, he does have a comedic tone that I actually enjoy. I don't know how it is in this movie. What is everybody else? 2 people have not seen this movie for sure. And what about everybody else?
So yeah, this is one of the Baumbach ones I've seen. Of his directed one, I think is the funniest, probably. Unless you find Marriage Story hilarious, like
Squid the Whale's hilarious. So you're gonna come
Squid the Whale is funny. Squid the Whale is funny. I'll give you that one. But that didn't come out in this decade, so yeah, no, I think Francis House is very good. This is definitely the most Zach pick he's had tonight. I don't feel like he's done yet, so it's a good movie for sure, but it wouldn't be on my list.
Noah Baumbach movies are just not my kind of thing. I know a lot of people love them, and it does seem like very much like a Zach pick, but I haven't really liked the ones I've seen, but I have not seen this one, so I can't comment.
I do want to quickly add that Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, who are a real life couple, my plan is to somehow leave my son with them so they can raise him and he can be the true witty master that I want him to be. They'll be better off with them as parents.
You're banning Theo, you bastard.
For the best.
Why don't you just leave it with your wife and then you go let them raise you?
What's your 4?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they need to raise you. Yeah.
My number 4 is it's that cute little bear. It's Paddington 2.
Yikes.
Oh, damn it. I was ready.
Hey Jay, you can talk about movies you've seen. So go ahead and start with your 7.
Oh boy.
The Campaign is my number 7. What? I like this movie. I thought this was funny. This is Zach Galifianakis doing his best Lindsey Graham impression, and it's Will Ferrell doing his George W. Bush impression. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're right. You're right. I'll give you that. You're right.
Like, the interaction between the two of them is just great. When Will Ferrell fucks up in the movie and he fucks up bad, and they decide that they're going to hire the lamest person to run against him, and it happens to be Zach Galifianakis, you're just like, okay, cool. And then you find out how fucking dysfunctional Zach Galifianakis' family is, but it's still something that Will Ferrell kind of wants. This movie cracks me up, dude. This movie makes me laugh. And it's at number 7, so it's not like hella high, but
that's high. There's
like anybody else
that came out.
If anybody else would have had this movie, I thought it would be Brooklyn. I think the table scene is still one of the funniest moments ever. Is basically sticking a firefly up your butt because you want to see your parts glow. Just because when you're a parent and you ask your kids to be honest and they're little and they just say whatever the hell they want, it's kind of that moment which is funny. But I just didn't care for this movie. It's that trajectory where with Will Ferrell that happened that I just don't find him as funny as I used to. I don't enjoy it. I think the moments with those two are great, but then they just go over the top and keep going. So it's just not as funny for me. What does everybody else think about The Campaign?
I'm not really big on Jay Roach as a director, period. I don't think any of the Austin Powers are very good. This one kind of falls flat for me. I think there's kernels of good ideas in this movie. It just never really blossomed into like a really good comedy. So yeah, no chance to be on my list.
Yeah, it didn't reach the potential that it has when you hear the lineup of Galifianakis and Will Ferrell, right? Especially at that time for Galifianakis.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're going to get funny moments when you get those two together, but consistently it's just not there.
I saw it once. I don't even remember it, so I don't really have an opinion. I think I just thought it was okay.
I also saw it once, and shout out to Jason Sudeikis. I think my favorite part of that movie.
Mitch.
Fair. What's your 6?
My 6 is A Million Ways to Die in the West.
What the fuck?
Say what you want.
That's the funniest movie of the year right now. You saying that?
A Million Ways to Die in the West. Look, there's a lot to say about. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Oh
no,
that's not a good sign.
No, well, yeah, Seth MacFarlane in general, but like Giovanni Ribisi in this movie. That's who I couldn't remember in this movie. Giovanni Ribisi's entire marriage to Sarah Silverman's character is fucking weird in this movie, to say the least. This is like a Family Guy skit come to life, and I stopped watching Family Guy like before the 2010s, but I laughed my ass off during this movie. I don't know what else to tell you. Charlize Theron in this movie, great. Liam Neeson's in this movie, great. The sight gags in this movie, Django showing up at the end credits in the end of this movie is fucking funny to me, bro. I laughed during this movie. I might have been high as shit when I watched this movie every time I watched this movie, but I still laughed my ass off.
There's the reason.
I made it 45 minutes into this movie. Yeah, I hate Seth MacFarlane. I really do. I think he is one of my least favorite people. It's just because, like, Ted is different because I guess he's a bear, but the overall, like, I just don't find him funny. And I thought this movie was like fucking awful when I watched it. So not a chance in hell. But I guess being under the influence would help this movie by a large margin. I will say that. It's just I didn't happen to be on it. What does everybody else think about Million of Ways to Die in the West?
Not since Frank Miller has a director blown so much goodwill after success than Seth MacFarlane. Like, Ted was a massive success. People liked the movie quite a bit. And then he basically had like carte blanche to do whatever he wants, and he did this, and it's just not funny. And I was excited for it too because I really liked Ted when I saw it. But yeah, I have not seen just so many people just wasted on a nothing script. And then like the Django moment and the Doc Brown moment, spoiler alert, they just feel so desperate. They feel like he was just like stuck for jokes, and he's like, okay, you know what can I reference here to try and win some goodwill with the fans? And yeah, it just doesn't play very well. I do agree with Liam Neeson and the Patrick Harris are trying. I get a few chuckles from them, but yeah, on the whole, top 10 of the 2010s, not even fucking close.
So, as somebody who has been known to defend Seth MacFarlane, in particular Family Guy, a lot in the past, nope. This would have been around the time that he would have been writing for like season 12 to 14, and those are like considered some of the worst seasons of Family Guy. So I think those kind of go hand in hand. But I could be wrong.
Anything after season 4 of Family Guy is the worst season of Family Guy.
Get out of here with that trash. Get out of here.
I think this is a shut the fuck up moment. We don't need to talk about Family Guy seasons. Okay.
I'm with you.
So I don't know who decided that Seth MacFarlane was worthy of you get whatever power you want to do what you want. He's like such a fucking narcissist and it ruined this movie. Like, I honestly think it might have worked if he did not put himself in it. Who decided he was an actor? He did. That was it. And put a real comic actor in it, maybe they can make it work. But he's not.
I'm going to go with Jay on this one. I actually thought this is pretty funny. Of
course, you're on this.
I will agree that Seth MacFarlane probably should not have been in it himself. I think that it would have been funnier without him. I do think that also that Sarah Silverman and Giovanni Ribisi is the funniest part of the movie. This is another one of those. I mean, it's just like Family Guy, where they're just kind of throwing out just constant joke after joke after joke, and all these little side references that nothing to do with anything. And again, some of them hit, some of them don't. I actually was a little bit disappointed when I first saw it, but I've grown to actually like it even more the more I watch it. And I kind of hope Seth MacFarlane keeps making live action movies, but that's just me.
Okay. What is your fifth one?
My fifth one is The Other Guys.
Okay.
There's a lot of Will Ferrell in this, apparently. But you know what? Gator Best Beware, it is Jimmy's. Where'd you learn to drive like that? Grand Theft Auto. Them getting bribed by Steve Coogan and not knowing that they're being bribed by Steve Coogan until it's like the fourth time they're back is some of the funniest shit. Mark Wahlberg and Ava Mendes. That's your wife?
No, that's Ferrell's wife.
No, I know.
I interrupted.
No. I know. That's your wife. No, seriously. How'd you marry her? Him not knowing that he became a pimp is one of the fucking funniest things in that. Dirty Mike and the boys fucking in the back of the Prius, hilarious. This movie cracks me up from beginning to end. It's trying so hard to be a fucking cop drama. It's trying to be a cop movie, but it turns into a fucking comedy. It's Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne The Rock Johnson aim for the bushes on the other side, and then they jump off a fucking building because of course they would. That's literally something I saw The Rock do in Hobbs and Shaw. Like, of course it's something that he would do. Motherfucker does it in real life.
I hate both versions of this fucking thing. I hate the trivia fucking team, and I hate the movie. Okay, to be honest with you, I'll boldly say it. I've already told the ex-partner that, the worst few years you could have spent. Listen, I don't find this movie funny at all. Again, it's that Will Ferrell thing. I am in the very minority of this movie. Adam McKay's best movie. That's insanity for me. Not a chance in hell. I think this movie is not funny. It's Rock and Samuel L. Jackson overacting. It's Will Ferrell definitely overacting. Mark Wahlberg forgets that he can be funny in this movie for me. Yeah, no way. I will never watch this movie again. I think it's awful. Everybody else on the other guys.
I'm actually surprised you don't like as much as you do, because it seems like it'd be up your alley. Like on paper, it's like up your alley. Because actually,
right, that's what I thought when I first went in to watch it. I was so excited.
And I do think this movie is very funny. It would be top 10 for me because I think Four Lions is a better comedy that came out that same year. But yeah, I think that the jokes land. I don't think it's the best movie. I think it's the second best, better than Step Brothers. I can say that shit. But yeah, I think that Wahlberg and
you watch your tongue, good sir.
I will not. I think that the two of them bring a good dynamic that they would run the fuck into the ground. But this is one it was actually like really, really great. So wouldn't be on my list, but yeah, I think it's very fun. I'll go to bat for you, Jay.
Appreciate it, especially after the shit you talked about A Million Ways to Die in the West. Love you, buddy.
Getting back.
I'm on the opposite side of this one because I don't understand why people love this movie so much. I mean, it's got some funny moments. It's not a horrible movie. I don't hate it, but I don't know why people love this movie so much. I've actually tried to watch it again just last year, or actually earlier this year, and I was just like, no, still don't see what the big deal is about it.
Good Jake.
I don't remember too much about the movie other than it's the real roots of the Michael Keaton comeback, and I appreciate it.
That's true.
For that, and I did like it at the time, and I feel like a lot of Will Ferrell movies get better rewatch. Maybe I should have given it a chance, but I enjoyed it at the moment. So.
Brooklyn, have you seen it?
No, I had my chip. Like,
I'm not paying attention to your damn candy. I need you at least to tell me if you saw the fucking thing or not. If put a counter up or throw it at the screen. I don't know. I can't fucking tell. I thought about January of just doing a bunch of YLS movies that I absolutely fucking hate and just watch them all January long to see if I still hate them. But
I didn't retire them. Henry did. Just saying.
Moving on.
That's correct.
Anyways, my number 4.
2 points to Brian. 3 points. Yeah, that's the 3 points.
3 points is if it goes in the hole. It's 3 points.
The cornhole?
Okay, what's your 4?
My four. It's another Seth MacFarlane movie. It's Ted 2 though.
Oh my
God. Smack me all you want, dude.
No. That's not me smacking you. That's all your goodwill from other guys. Gone.
That's completely fine. I actually like Ted 2 more than I like.
This makes a very good point. Is this funny or weed funny? Because there are two different things, and I think that's.
I just watched this movie 2 days ago and still laughed my ass off.
Sober?
Yes, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, actually. I find this one mad funny. Like the Gollumized. She's got fuck me eyes. What do you have? You have bring me my precious eyes. Like you're just gonna fuck her up like that throughout the entire movie. Her name's Sam L. Jackson. Like the actor. Wait, what? The actor. You know, he's the black guy in every movie ever. Like, I like this movie, bro. I don't care what anybody has to say. You asked for my list, and I'm on the show. Apparently, it's just to make fun of me for my choices, which I'm completely fine with. But Ted 2, it's got a better story to me than the first one. Because he goes from being this independent, autonomous thing back to being, a thing. What, like a piece of garbage? Yeah, no, I'm fine with this one. I like this one a little bit more. It's got a better story than the first one. He doesn't have to die in this one.
Wow.
See, I'd give you a hard pass if Ted didn't come out in fucking 2012 and then use the sequel. I hate the sequel of Ted. I think it's kind of like comedy sequels just hardly ever work for me, and this is one that definitely doesn't. It's kind of like Anchorman 2. I think this is the same way. Ted 2, they try to go too much and too over the top and too much added to what it's a fucking teddy bear that talks. Like, I liked when he just worked at a grocery store and was like, being the bear with Mark Wahlberg. Ted 2, I remember seeing it and not laughing hardly at all, and it was kind of disappointing. The first Ted in the group with Multiplex and us, we loved the first Ted, but like this one, I just can't get behind. But yes, I bring on the show because you're at least completing the list. Your list sucks. You're doing well. What is everybody else? And Brooklyn's going next. So guess what? You have somebody that could top you. How does everybody else feel about Ted 2? Not Ted 1, Ted 2.
I tried to watch Ted 2 and I stopped like halfway through the opening number. No, it's Seth. I think Seth had too much fun with it, like trying to do too much of like the grand Broadway nonsense. But no.
Yeah, I think I like the first Ted well enough. It doesn't hold up as well to people viewing, but Ted 2, yeah, like you said, McFarlane just tries to go all in, and it just doesn't. It doesn't work as well the second time around, especially because like the first one, I think that it ends fine. Like why are you undoing the first movie they pull the ultimate in a comedy sequel? They undo the first movie in the first 10 minutes. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, no, just stop. The first one ended fine enough. You don't need to do another one.
Well, I'll go next because Chance and I are alternating movies of Jay's that we like and don't like. I like Ted 2. I'm going to back up Jay on this one too. Shocker to everyone out there, I know. Yes, the musical number, I didn't really care for that part of it. Otherwise, I thought the movie was very good. I thought it was at least as good, if not even a little bit better than the first movie. So, yeah, and Amanda Seyfried's.
It's really funny that you're just mad, Jay.
So something that me and Jay have in common is that we both pick movies the other person hasn't seen. But in my case, it's because I don't watch movies that I know is going to be shit. Because I've seen Ted and I fucking hated Ted. I feel like you took one joke of like, look at this cute teddy bear. He swears and talks about fucking, and that's all it was. And so I had no desire to see Ted 2.
Sorry, I was sending a tweet. Okay,
bears are very sanctuous creatures and they should be appreciated. No, mean.
Winnie the Pooh sucks. Okay, what's your 7? What's your 7, Brooklyn?
So my number 7 is a yikes from earlier. This is Game Night.
Yikes! Wait. Yeah, I have a little higher. 5.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you guys talk about it now. If it's in your top, we'll just talk about it now.
Oh, I'll let Chance go first because Chance has
the higher, so go ahead and talk.
So yeah, I think 2018 was like a really underrated year for mainstream comedy. I think this is the best one that they've done. Again, this is a movie like Jump Street. I didn't really have that much hope for. I mainly saw it because I'm a huge Jason Bateman fan. I think there's no comedic actor like him working today. And yeah, this one was a massive surprise. I think Bateman and Rachel McAdams especially, they work really well as leads. They have great chemistry. They have great comedic timing back and forth. Again, Jason Bateman has a delivery that will make me laugh every single time, no matter what he's in. I think the dude is, like I said, I think he's one of the best. I like the game aspect. I like that the movie always keeps you guessing. Like throughout the entire runtime, you never really know what's real, what's fake, what's set up by a third party, and that leads to a lot of great jokes. The running jokes is one really funny, especially the one with Lamorne Morris trying to find out what celebrity his wife slept with. They drag on forever, but the payoff for that joke I think is fantastic. And Jesse Plemons is just coming in, being a creep ass bastard and stealing every single scene he's in. He's awesome. I love him. I think it's a great ensemble. And yeah, I think that of mainstream comedies come out in the past 10 years, this is definitely my favorite.
This is very much the humor that like Sue and I have whenever we try and banter. Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams have really good chemistry. Jesse Plemons is definitely the person that like anti-humor is still a thing. Like it's very much the opposite of what you would get from like that supporting role in a comedy. In particular, I think it's like whenever they're in the airport and they're trying to go after the bad guy, and Jason, and like they're having a dispute, and then Jason says something in passing, and it's like, I don't love you as much as I did, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's something along those lines that I always has to go back. Shout out to Jacoby as well. He's the one that finally got me to watch this.
I had at my number 9. First, I want to point out that Brooklyn said that when we try banter, like you just decide, okay, tonight's gonna be banter night, and we're gonna attempt it. Only tonight.
It's theme night, sweetheart. What the hell?
Tonight's banter night.
Cody, you look way different.
Tomorrow's
What
silence.
happened to you?
He became Caleb. Anyways, game night is a kind of comedy that barely, exists, which is a big mainstream, meticulously written comedy. Like it's all planned out. It's not based on having highly comedic improv actors to kind of fill in the gaps. It is all fully there on paper. Or you can feel that it's kind of on paper. So there's a plan to it. But Rachel McAdams is truly one of our greatest comedy stars. I hope she can stay in this realm for longer. I am a big fan of Eurovision. The scene of her fixing Jason Bateman's wound is, I think, the funniest scene of the decade, and was one of my favorite scenes in general. It is a real laugh out loud. Also, not to point out, she has great hair, best hair, and top 5 hairs when we do that in movies. Rachel McAdams' hair steals the show. Not to be creepy, but her hair is great, guys.
Creepy.
She does have great hair in this one. I will concur.
Is that the last person that had game night?
But when she like blows out the gun, shakes her hair, it's in the trailer. It's like, this is the sexiest.
Stop it.
Great.
Is that the last game night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
Okay. I
I thought
100%
foot fetishes
agree.
were weird.
I 100% agree with Chance. Jason Bateman is the one person that will make me, probably besides Steve Carell, that will make me almost belly laugh at the stuff he says. He's the only one that can tell every emotion without ever raising his voice. Like if he's panicked, he says this. He talks the same. If he's mad, he talks the same, and it's great. I think his delivery is always on top. This is a movie that I didn't. Is it the same year that? Oh fuck!
It's the same year as Blockers and Tag.
Okay, never mind. I definitely thought this was one of the better of all those. I didn't plan on seeing it, and then I watched it. And I thought Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams, I think, need to be in more things together. I think they played off each other super well, especially in comedies. The whole concept of this movie is actually really good. It got a lot of buzz from like the community of film. And then when I checked it out, it lived up to the hype, and I thought it was really funny. Of the ones of the 2010s, it's the one that still stands out, and I want to rewatch it. So hats off to having game night. Brian and Jay did not have game night. Why not?
It was on my short list when I was kind of brainstorming, what to put on the list. It just didn't make my top 10 because I agree. Jason Bateman is probably one of my favorite comedic actors, even in a bad movie. I mean, take something like Identity Thief or some other shitty comedy. He's not the problem in those. He's even still funny in those. I mean, he can play the nice guy. He can play the asshole. He plays all kinds of different roles, and he's still funny no matter what he does. But just the movie, while I enjoyed it very much, just didn't make my cut.
Did the dumbass brother graduate from Harvard? Like, is that what happened? Like, really? This movie's funny. Don't get me wrong. Like, I laughed. The cop is really creepy in this movie. The guy who's trying.
Not as funny as Ted 2, though.
I didn't think so. Like, if you're yeah, it's okay. I'll say it. You're gonna bait me. I'll say it. Like, don't play that game. Call me petty. Call me petty. Haley, bro. I will be petty like
Kill
this.
me.
Is there any teddy bears fucking broccoli in game night? I don't think so.
No, and that's why Ted is better.
Oh.
All right.
At least they mentioned Denzel in this movie. Okay.
That's true.
Okay, I don't know where the fuck we are.
Brooklyn 6.
What's your 6?
So my number 6, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets yikes. It is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Okay, so it's Lord Miller, it's Spider-Man, it's multiverse. What else can you do? Some of my favorite things of this movie, I think, would be how they naturally progress with like everybody's origin stories. If it goes to Miles Morales and Peter Parker, and it's well fleshed out, and then with everybody else, it's like, all right, here you go, yada yada yada. But this is the thing that makes a twist, and I think it's that self-awareness that I love in general about Lord Miller's work. You have Nicolas Cage doing essentially Nicolas Cage dialed to 11. It's not as like hyper and as intense, but he's just very like mystique and noir, and I think that's what everybody kind of loves about him. Plus, you have the best stand-up comic working today as Spider-Ham, in a role that I think that's kind of a perfect marriage of what the character and what the actor try to do individually. But yeah, it's just it's so fun, and there's that quick whiff between even like Miles and his dad. You see that like in the car whenever he's going to school. Yeah, just a fun time.
The comments keep rolling in. Is this a comedy? Listen, I think this movie is dramatic as fuck. To be honest with you, this movie has so much like actual like heartbreak in this movie. If you actually think about it, like his uncle, his dad, the relationship, trying to gain that responsibility, the other characters coming back. Yeah, there's a fucking ham in a spider suit, but I don't know if that leads it to a comedy so much to make it ha-has per minute. I think it's very funny. I think there's funny moments, but I don't know if it's actually what I would consider I wouldn't consider it one of the best comedies. I would consider it a lot of other things. I would consider one of the best movies, best animated movies of the decade. I would consider it. There's so many things, but comedy is definitely not what I would agree. Koho may disagree with me on that one. But what does everybody else think about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Chance didn't have this, so I think if anybody was going to have it, I think Chance would, he didn't even have it. So.
No, yeah, so I kind of made a decision to kind of like not go into comic movies because I feel like there's enough lists for that. We talked about that enough on this show. But even if I did, this still wouldn't make my list. I think of, off the top of my head, I can think of like 3 comic movies that are way more comedy than this and way funnier than this. This movie's great, don't get me wrong. The movie's like really fantastic, but as far as like comedy goes, the comedy aspects are not what I think of when I think of like excelling aspects in this movie. So great movie for sure, but has no place on this list.
That's fair.
I just echo what everybody else said. Great film.
There are 6 tags in this movie on IMDb, and not one of them is comedy. You know why? Because
is that true?
Fucking comedy. Yeah, I'm on the IMDb page right now.
Oh
There's
my God,
6 fucking tags. 6 fucking tags, and not one of them is comedy. I fucking love this movie, but it is not a comedy. It's got comedic moments.
Neither is Ted 2, but
Ted 2 at least has a comedy tag.
Spider-Verse is so much funnier than Ted 2. I didn't think
that's true.
You know what my favorite criticism is? Technically, it's not this, so I'm going to challenge that. Yeah.
I'm actually going to defend Brooklyn a little bit because mainly you're all being boring ass semantic assholes. Who cares? If you don't think this is a comedy, I'm really worried about my next 2 picks for having dramatic heavy moments. Dramatic heavy moments don't make it not a comedy, and in some ways it increases those moments of levity.
No, but 30 seconds of comedy doesn't make it a comedy.
I didn't say it's not a comedy. I didn't say that there could be moments. I didn't say
30 seconds of rap.
It's not funny.
Shut up! Listen, I agree. I agree. Not every movie has to have jokes per minute, but it's got to be fucking funny throughout to be a comedy in my eyes. I think if it's a dramatic scene and grandma cracks a joke at a funeral, doesn't make that movie a comedy because I chuckle at one scene. Like, you got to have some levity throughout the entire film to make it a comedy for me.
As far as comedies go,
if you put Notebook on your list, I tell you to fuck off because it's not a rom-com, it's a romantic movie. But like other movies can have both sides of it. But
I mean,
it's
I know
not semantics.
Had a pig talking to it too, so I understand.
As far as comedy movies go, Thor Ragnarok's a better comedy. Guardians of the Galaxy is a better comedy. Shazam is a better comedy.
No, you want no. Hey,
I love getting everybody fired up.
Hey guys, you know whenever people are really sad, you know what the only way you can cope with grief is? Just laugh it off. That's how everything gets solved. Just laugh. No. You're really good at making me angry, Chance. You're doing a really good job.
Bare naked ladies are trash. There, that keeps going.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that's
what joke does he make when Uncle Aaron dies?
That's
all right. Fuck, I'm glad we're getting a break. What's your number 5, Brooklyn? And see if anybody else can piss you off anymore.
So my number 5 is my favorite rom-com of the 2010s. It is Always Be My Baby.
Really? Wow.
So I watched this year during the quarantine COVID. Oh my god. But yeah, Randall Park, Ali Wong give great moments. It kind of paint by the numbers in terms of rom-com, but I think the moments where the humor is expected, they get the maximum that they can out of it. Like when they're first meeting in the car, and they have that like they're trying to figure out what they do. Again, it's that awkward sort of humor that I sort of tend to lean towards. Also, Keanu Reeves just playing himself, and then whenever they have the headphones on and he's crying as he's eating. Also, Hello Peril needs to put out a full-on album, and I will listen to that over and over and over again. Randall Park is an incredible rapper, but that is not the point of this list.
Okay. Another movie I watched for the first time. Paul told me not to. Paul, I should have listened to you. I didn't find this movie very funny. I thought it was okay. I don't know. It just, nothing really clicked in the movie that made it like slapstick. Like, it was a lot of awkward humor, which is fine, but even the awkward humor just didn't make me like laugh a lot during it. So not saying it's a bad choice. It just didn't click with me. I can see how this could make a lot of people like laugh really hard. It just wasn't for me. So yeah, everybody else.
This movie feels like there was a support group for all the actors who didn't get into Crazy Rich Asians. And they were all talking, and they were all, having a good time. We're like, you know what? Fuck them. Let's make a movie. And it wasn't nearly as successful or as good. I mean, I like this movie. I think it's pretty good for a Netflix like romantic comedy. But top 10 of the decade? Nah, fuck off.
I mean, I thought it was a cute film. I enjoyed it. It definitely felt like a Netflix film, just a small kind of forgettable comedy. But I mean, I laughed. I enjoyed it. I did think the Keanu cameo was a little overhyped. It was kind of.
I thought Keanu's really funny. I'll give him props for that.
He was funny, but I think I heard too much about it before I finally watched the movie. But I mean, it was cute. I wouldn't make a top 10 though.
My main takeaway from that is I just continue to question Brooklyn's music taste. Like, saying he is gonna listen to this fucking Randall Park album on repeat and that he's a good rapper is just it's bewildering to me. Nobody music isn't real music. Let's move on.
Let's see if Brooklyn has another meltdown by the end of it. What is your Jay? Have you seen this movie?
Oh yeah, I've seen this movie. I like this movie, but again, I thought we were using movies. And not just like Netflix movies. So, like, it would be in my honorable mentions.
Are you falling when you're doing that? I don't know what's going on. Or are you like a bird that flies sideways?
So, wacky, waving, inflatable arm flying too, man.
Yeah.
Oh, no, good taste.
Yeah.
Oh! All right. What is your next one?
My 4 is a yikes from earlier, and it is Bridesmaids.
Okay. I respect this one.
All right, let's go.
Of everything on my list, this is the movie that has me at a chuckle the most. I think you constantly keep that. Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph have some of the best chemistry coming out of SNL. You can see it how they work with each other, and it's almost like they're trying to get themselves to break in a way. John Hamm is one of the great dual actors in terms of like serious performances, but you also get performances in this as well as like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, where he's kind of like almost like a Bryan Cranston-esque role, but a little more suave, I guess in a way. I know people are like, Melissa McCarthy, this is the best performance, and you're right. But I think this was also sort of like the downfall into like where she would go into like Identity Thief and Heath and Tammy. That other garbage movie.
Two very different films, but okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think she gets too much crap for that because a lot of people forget that she was a really good actress in Gilmore Girls and like that she has those other pieces. But yeah, I think this is the most like objectively needs to be on the list. And I think 4 is the perfect spot for it.
Who else had Bridesmaids? Go ahead, Jay. Talk.
Yeah, I had Bridesmaids. This movie does make me chuckle, but I like Chris O'Dowd in this movie more than just about anybody else as the cop. He is mad funny in every scene that he's in, but on rewatches this movie, I don't know if it's because I'm like watching it and waiting for the laughs where like I'm keeping track. Like, oh, I laughed at this scene the last time I watched this movie. Like this movie kind of fails itself on rewatches. This movie's really funny the first time you watch it, and then like by the 3rd, 4th, or 5th time you watch it, you're just like, I'm not laughing at the spots that I used to laugh at. This is just weird. Although I will say, I'm not one for scatological humor a lot of the time, but right after they go and they try on their dresses and they're all shitting, I'm sorry. You lay a brick in the middle of the street and you tell somebody to look away, I'm still gonna laugh at that.
I don't care what anybody says. This movie still holds up and is still fantastic, and I laugh my ass off all the time at this movie. This was like around the same point. I don't know release dates, so fuck off. But like Bridesmaids, Hangover, like that too. Like I don't know how close they were.
2 years.
This is 2 years later.
Those two coming out were two that I had no expectations with, one, and this movie blew me away. The comedic delivery. Melissa McCarthy, when she was fucking funny, when she takes all the dogs and says, 5 may have been too much. Still laugh really hard at that. Just their overall like acting. You're doing it, aren't you? Yep. You're shitting in the street. Even the romantic elements in this like movie, this kind of rom-com it takes on. I think this movie is great. I still find it funny, and I've watched it numerous times. It's one of the movies me and my wife watch because it's one of the movies she can tolerate. So yeah, I think Bridesmaids is great. So anybody else on Bridesmaids?
So this, I remember I said I fucked up my list. I kind of just like forgot this existed. The way I have my movies ranked is like things I've seen since like 2013, 14. I haven't seen it since 2011. I loved it then. I do want to go and Jay that Chris O'Dowd. Comedy great. Moon Boy forever. He's really great in the movie, no matter like how kind of shitty of a cop he might be in this movie. He's still really, funny and super charming. Chris Rigg's career kind of is a lost thing. So I feel like if we watch Bridesmaids, it would make me sad that we kind of lost Kristen Rigg as a comedy actress that she could have been. Instead, she's making dumb faces in The Martian.
Wow.
She's going to be in the 2021 Wonder Woman comedy.
Not 2021, 2020.
Coming Christmas, HBO Max.
Thanks, Max. I don't get the drive-by on weighing in for The Martian. I think that's a weird thing to hit her on. But this is one I did consider. I think that of the Paul Feig 2010's comedies, this is definitely the best. And I like Spy a lot, but this one's still better. It's one that, for me, this is one that I don't find myself going back to as often. I think I've seen it the grand total like 3 times. Once for the first time, once on a rewatch, and then once because my mom hadn't seen it. I'm sure she liked it, and she did. I think that rewatchability doesn't have that much factor for me. I have to be like really in the mood to watch it. Whereas anything on my list, I feel like I could pop this on anytime. But it's still good pick. And Brooke, you haven't quite redeemed yourself yet, but you're getting there. You're close.
I'm going to be the one dissenting vote, I guess. I classify this kind of like I do other guys, and I don't dislike the movie. It's funny. It's got some parts. I've just never understood why people love it so much. I think it's okay. As hangover knockoff movies kind of go, I think that Search Party is a movie from 2014. You should see that. It's good. It's got Thomas Middleditch, T.J. Miller, Alison Brie, Adam Pally. But that's a funny movie. But this one, it's fine.
Hey, Stove. Wow. Are you an appliance stove? Still great. Okay. All right. What's your next? Was your last one for?
We go to me. Shout out to Chris O'Dowd real quick. Love you on IT cred. This is one that I thought was going to be Yikes from Zach, but now I'm not so sure. It's the Muppets.
Yikes. You're ruining my thunder here. There's a big moment lead up, and it's okay.
Thank Christ. Okay. I know, Cody. You can rip us later for it. My number 6 is The Nice Guys.
Yikes!
Wow. All right. My number 5 was Game Nights, and my number 4 is The Action Earlier, The World's End. Someone had that. I know.
I had it.
There you go. Okay.
Is that it? Okay. Go ahead.
So Edgar Wright, I think one of the better directors working today. This is the final entry in his Coronado trilogy, and I don't think it's the best. But Hot Fuzz came out in the 2000s, and I can't put Hot Fuzz on the list. So, but The World's End, I think this one is pretty underrated. I think it's him taking his sensibilities to the sci-fi film genre, which I think is to a lot of success. I think Simon Pegg is excellent in this film. I think he's really funny. I think that he brings a lot of gravitas, a lot of nuance to this role. I think that the ensemble in this one, like if you think about Edgar Wright's previous film, like he doesn't have like a whole lot of ensemble elements. It's the first time he's doing that, and the first time he's getting, actors like Martin Freeman, and Patty Considine and Eddie Marsan to get more interplay in a film like this, and they're all really funny. I like the way they work off against each other. I think that it's incredibly smart. I think that the way it builds on itself it's great, and the way it comes to a head by the end of it, you're just like, wow, that was. It sort of has like a surprising amount of weight to it, and also I'll bring a ton of laughs. I think Edgar Wright's of the movies he's done in the 2010s. This is easily his best. Like, it's not even close. And I like Baby Driver a lot, but yeah, World's End I think is fantastic, and more people should talk about that one.
Jay,
I love this movie. It's not my least favorite of the Cornetto trilogy, but it's definitely in the middle.
There's only 3 movies.
I know, and it's real difficult to talk about those ones, but we're not talking about those ones. We're talking about The World's End. It's trying to relive a night from your teenage years. Getting older, you always look back and you're like, damn, what if I had done this? And then something crazy happens and you're like, well, shit, okay. And then you go through all of this. I think one of the fucking funniest scenes is when they're in the club and the chick fucking sucks his ring off and then he punches her in the fucking gut to get it back. Like, what? Like, it's out there. It's outlandish comedy. And then Simon Pegg's conversation with the Grand Intelligence or whatever the fuck it's called at the end of the movie is funny shit because, like, literally he's just quoting what he heard at the beginning of the movie, like pulling a Big Lebowski out of fucking nowhere. This movie cracks me up almost all the way through. His interactions with, I think this is the one where like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost really didn't see eye to eye in their relationship, and they brought a lot of their problems to the forefront. And like you could tell that they were bringing actual fucking Carrie King forever. Fair. But they brought a lot of emotion to this movie, whether it's funny or whether it's serious, and you can tell like you don't get that a lot with people who don't work together quite a bit. This entire cast works. I love this movie.
So I just watched this movie a couple days ago for the first time. This is my favorite of his movies that I've seen. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I liked Hot Fuzz. I thought Hot Fuzz had probably the most interesting story, but it was probably after watching 3 of the movies and how they work together. The third one just worked so well for me on this one. I think it was great. They'd be close with that. And I think Hot Fuzz is good. I think Baby Driver is good too. But no, World's End I thought was interesting concept. Those two just play off each other so well together on screen. It's funny. The entire trilogy is hilarious. I'm mad that I waited this long to watch all of them, but no, now I understand the hype around all of them. Maybe not all the trivia team names that come out of this movie, but I do respect the movie a lot. I think it's great, and I can't wait to go back and rewatch it later. What does everybody else think about The World's End?
So I think the comedy bits do really work to contrast with Jay's opinion. I think the dramatic elements and the relationships is almost what taints it a little bit for me. I think it's kind of two-dimensional dramatic relationship between them, and it's a little whiny to where it kind of is a buzzkill to the fun. We're doing a pub jumping movie. It should be a lot more joyful.
Can't be any dramatic moments. Blah, blah, blah.
No, I'm just saying the dramatic moments didn't work. There's a difference.
Oh, okay. My bad.
This did make my short list. I just happened to want to talk about 10 other movies.
I like this movie, but to me, it's my least favorite of Edgar Wright's movies. But that's not saying a whole lot because I like all of his movies. I just tend to like the other ones more. But this, I will admit, though, this is one that has grown on me more and more. I was looking back at my Letterboxd ratings as I watched it, and every time I watched it, it went up like a half star. So I guess I'm learning to appreciate it more, and I think it's funny, just not one of my favorites of his.
Okay. Brian, what's your 3?
All right, my number 3 is Deadpool. This is a comic book movie. This is a comic book movie. It is an action movie, but this one, first and foremost, is a comedy. From the minute one, you know that this is a comedy. That's what they're going for. It's the whole tone. The whole focus of the movie is on the comedy, and that's why I included this one. It's gotten a little bit kind of watered down since then. I mean, with Deadpool 2 and then like Suicide Squad kind of copied the style, and just from being a little bit kind of talked about too much and overexposed, I think it's hurt its people's opinion of it a little bit. But if you think about the first time you saw it, I thought this was one of the funniest movies I had seen in the theater in a long time. Ryan Reynolds did do Ryan Reynolds, and it's perfect for him.
This this movie has killed Ryan Reynolds for me in general. I don't like Ryan Reynolds in anything anymore. I actually have probably avoid more movies. When I heard him as Detective Pikachu, I was like, "Oh, great! They got Deadpool to voice the freaking Pokemon. Yeah, kill me." This movie is one of those movies that I describe with shock humor at the first time, like, "Oh, comic book movie said fuck, that's cool," and like all the stuff. I also said that this movie has ruined for me, and it will always be ruined for me because I saw the first 30 minutes of this movie 5 showtimes for 15 times in the opening weekend because I had to keep preteens out of seeing Deadpool. So,
oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
I wanted to be hit by one of the oncoming cars in the in the movie. I don't find it funny. I don't enjoy it. I even the rest of the movie I don't find it's very funny. When people say it's one of the top 10 comic book movies, it makes me want to punch somebody. I think it's very mediocre script. I think the overall the only funny part that I ever laugh is like I'm gonna fucking spell it out, and then he spells it in bodies. I think that's funny, but that's the only part that I really laughed at. I don't find this movie funny. I actually despise this movie. I'm gonna save Zach for the end.
Yeah, Zach needs to go last.
And Koho, I owe Koho something special because I forgot to tell him Brian mixed his 2 and 3. So my bad, buddy. Okay. Everybody else, go ahead.
I've been going first a lot, so why don't you go first?
So I made this list at 3 a.m. I'll let you guys fill in the rest of that sentence. So I kind of forgot about it. I don't think it would have made my list. I don't think. I mean, like Blue Rubber Masturbating Shoes is fun, but I think it kind of got wore out. By the community, I'm not even sure, and like that's not even a bad.
I agree with that completely. I agree with that.
Yeah, it just gets talked. It gets talked about a lot. So.
It's on my honorable mentions list. I think one of the funniest scenes. I think one of the funniest gags in this movie doesn't actually get paid off until Deadpool 2, when he's like, "There's a shitload of cocaine hidden in the house right next to the cure for blindness," and then in Deadpool 2, he pulls up the floorboard and boom, there's cocaine and the cure for blindness, like literally right next to it. Miranda Baccarin she's always a win for me. In almost everything I've ever seen, her in, she's always a plus to it. She's funny in the movie. Ryan Reynolds is being Ryan Reynolds. That's one thing that I can say kind of kills at least the first one for me. But I like the movie. It's funny.
Yeah, this is one that it doesn't have the same punch that I did when I first saw the movie, I will fully admit, but I do watch it and I do enjoy it. Like I said, I try to avoid comic movies, but even if I did, this one would not be the one I'd put on my list. So, yeah. Zach, I see the floor to you.
Hey, baby. So Deadpool and memes worked hand in hand to ruin humor in youth culture as we know it. It has made me depressed for like 8 years. Because one, like memes, copying other people's shit, not funny. Favorite show jokes. Second of all, Deadpool, fucking meta humor is the most overrated bullshit that you could possibly have unless you do something really with it. But knowing you're a movie inherently, it just doesn't make it funny. Just because you could say fucking Hugh Jackman jokes and fucking hilarious. Who knows? Deadpool knows he's in a goddamn movie. Never seen this fucking before. It's always obvious jokes. They're obvious jokes. There's really no wit to it. Fucking this did ruin Ryan Reynolds because it took any limits off him. It's like, Ryan Reynolds, do your fucking shit, and he needs someone to take him down. I do find him good, especially in some independent films. I find him pretty charming in Mississippi Grind because there's a fucking director playing a halt on what he can do. They're laying him off the rails, and it's just fucking joke after joke that are obvious or just saying like the word clitoris, and because a superhero say clitoris, it's funny. They probably don't say that because that's too classy for this fucking movie. And It's bullshit. I honestly, Spider-Verse to me is 30 times funnier because John Mulaney is a pig. It's great. I actually do like Deadpool 2 more, but I still hate that movie.
No, Deadpool 2 is way worse.
You had it. And you pushed it one sentence too far.
Let's talk about Cars 3 now.
Shut up. No, we're not talking about that. All right. Well, Zach, what's your 3 now?
Oh shit! It's my turn. My number 3.
Help.
This is a real fucked up on my list.
Boy.
This is a fucked up.
Boy.
It is Lady Bird. One, because I know Cody doesn't talk about, but I did think because I made it fast. I think I did overvalue how funny I found this movie, just because Greta Gerwig, really has my heart, and I already had Frances Ha on there. So let's leave the it's not that funny. It's a comedy thing alone. I think there's a lot of great funny lines. I think the dramatic elements probably do work better. So let's just treat it as a movie, and you can talk about why you hate it as a movie, not as a comedy. We get the semantics. Boring shit. Okay, but I think Greta, Saoirse Ronan does deliver because they're lines that are real to her character, but they are still such a teenager trying so hard to be something they're not, that it is funny. I think just like Frances Ha, the relatableness of this is people I've known in life, and people I've laughed with and laughed at kind of add a concept of humor to me. But in general, I think this movie gets better every time we watch it. Cody's a dumbass, and we can move on. And heartless, and does understand and have any feminine perspective in his heart.
Okay. If I could ever retire a movie on your list sucks, this would be one of them that I would never have to talk about again. I've already said it before. Lady Bird got off easy. She got to leap out the car. I wish I would have. Laurie Metcalf does a great Aunt Jackie performance from Roseanne. All right. On that note, everybody else talk about Lady Bird.
First of all, I think it's bullshit that you're trying to discount what the big. Is it? Yeah, you haven't seen it. You haven't fucking seen it, eh? I think it's fucking bullshit you're trying to discount what we're gonna say about this movie because yeah, you're right. It is not that funny. I mean, sure, there's a couple one-liners here and there, but no.
I still want you to point out the jokes for me. I would love you to point out the jokes because I didn't laugh one single time.
I was still confused. Hey, but the car seems fucking hilarious. It's like a great slapstick bit, right?
There are
comedy.
But I never watched this. I never think I want to watch a comedy right now. Let's put on Lady Bird. Yeah, let's get into that one. But I do. It's a very good movie. It's a very good movie. I will agree. But I wouldn't have this on my best comedies.
I said I fucked up.
You did. I agree.
I think it's all right. I like it. I like Saoirse Ronan. It wouldn't make my top 10. I didn't. One thing I don't like about it, I've never liked Timothée Chalamet. Don't like him in this. Don't like him calling by your name. I think he looks stupid in Dune. So I kind of wish he would disappear. Wow. But the rest of the cast was good.
On Chalamet. Right.
That is the worst part of Lady Bird.
Fuck you for a beautiful boy.
Brooklyn J.
Brooklyn hasn't seen it. I don't care for this movie.
All right. Well, Cody's disappeared. Who's next? Jay, what's your 3?
Go ahead, Jay. Talk about your 3.
Oh, there it is.
My 3 is The Big Sick. Okay, so say what you want about us calling out, movies with comedic moments in it that are more dramatic than anything else. I think this movie does a pretty good job on blending both of them together. And granted, Kumail Nanjiani's funniest scenes aren't even with Zoe Kazan in this movie. They're with Ray Romano, and they're mainly with Ray Romano, but they're with Ray Romano and Holly Hunter. I fucking love this movie. This movie cracks me up. It's got a special spot in my heart, and that's why it's my number 3.
No one else had The Big Sick. I agree. I think this movie's hilarious. There's dramatic moments, but this is a movie that has dramatic moments, but the comedy is pretty much equal. It goes 50-50. I still think the Holly Hunter, like I've always wanted to talk about 9/11 or whatever the joke is.
It's like
it was a bad day for us.
9/11. We lost one of our best guys.
It was just like, what the fuck? And then when Holly Hunter's just screaming at the other comedian, like in the bar, when he's doing his acting, he's just screaming at him and saying he's got a tiny dick and stuff. That's hilarious. I think this movie. I just watched it first time this year. I think it works super well. I think it's super funny. And I think it has so much rewatchability. I'm excited to rewatch it again. And like his like awkward humor works so well throughout this entire thing. Like he's like, especially when she gets up and stuff, and you're like, listen, what you did was great, but I wasn't awake. We were not on good terms. And like he's like, I worked so hard. It means nothing. So I think it's really good. Really, really funny. Good choice. What is everybody else?
This is actually one that was actually on my list before I reevaluated game night, and that kind of knocked it off. But no, this movie is excellent. If this was on my list, probably be at about 10, because I do think that again it really toes the line between comedy and drama, which is what it's going for. I do think it's better than some movies I do have on my list. But yeah, for what this is, for a dramedy as Wayne's, I think it's excellent. Great performances, great scripts. Fantastic fucking film. So there's redeem you for Ted 2 and A Million Ways to Die in the West, but it works in your favor a little bit. Fuck.
It's a really solid movie, but what's more important is that I won this on Blu-ray from a podcast, and people need to know that I'm a winner. And
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. That's all I gotta say.
Brian, Brooklyn's Brian. Anybody?
It was fine.
Haven't seen it.
Didn't love it. Didn't hate it.
Okay.
Jesus.
Well, Brooklyn, what's your 3? Tell everybody where they're wrong.
So my number 3 is Wolf of Wall Street. Is it? Oh my god, guys! It's not a comedy.
It's really funny. I agree with that. It's really funny.
No, you brought a Leo. No, you brought a Leo movie to
that's
a
not,
chance.
That's not my favorite of this film, but I'll get into it later.
Okay. But yeah. So this is a 3-hour movie that feels like it's about an hour and a half. It moves by quickly. Matthew McConaughey gets you right out of the gate, and then you have like. Admittedly, it's sort of like a party-esque sort of vibe and humor, like when they because there's quaaludes and tons of drugs and sex and whatnot. And it's just it's kind of interesting in a way how you see Leo turn from this like calm, sort of sophisticated person. Like I don't want to break the rules to being like half an hour in. He's like, all right, let's start breaking some rules. Jonah Hill is great. Rob Reiner should be everybody's dad. His anger is so justified, but it works so well. There's just so many there's so many great things happening. Also, Leo crawls his way to a Ferrari and does not get an Oscar. Why?
So yes, you can play the semantic card all you want on this movie. I find this movie absolutely hilarious. It's one of Scorsese's best. I absolutely think this movie is absolutely incredible. I agree. After a while, as walking through 2013 right now, he definitely deserved the Oscar for this performance. I think, without a doubt, I think he's incredible in this entire movie, especially the crawling scene, especially all that. He's working his ass off in this film. I will still laugh every time where it's like $26,000. They were sides. Sides? Yeah, they actually cured cancer. Really cool. The problem, right? He just wants to rip Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill is working overtime in this movie. I think he's fantastic, especially the story of him working on this film and taking an actor's minimum just to work on a Scorsese film is just one of those crazy things. But he's so good in this film. Margot Robbie's hilarious in this film when she has her moments, and like there's just different moments. Yes, there's a lot of dramatic moments, but the comedy works really well. We'll save Chance for the end because I'm really curious. But everybody else on the Wolf of Wall Street, because Leo is the best. Let's go.
It is real funny. Michael Campbell in the chat beat me to what I wanted to say, which is let's just kind of classify this as funniest movies rather than comedies, because I know once we try to put into a genre, that's an iffy box. But it is like undoubtedly, I think, a super funny movie. He does a full, slapstick scene when he's on horse tranquilizers and flying the car. And it's hilarious every second for like a straight 8 minutes of that scene.
I think that's what I'm going to do for 2000 comedies. I'm just going to call it funniest movies of the 2000s. I think that makes it a lot easier than trying to find comedy and everything. Because that's Michael. You're the best. I'm glad you're in my faction. Continue talking.
Yeah, because I agree. I mean, I can see how this movie is classified as a comedy, so I have no problem with being on the list. And actually, if you wanted probably the hottest take of the night, this is one of the only Scorsese movies I actually enjoy. There's only a couple of them that I really like. Most of them are just not my kind of thing. I like it.
Jay?
Comedy is subjective. I don't like this. I didn't like this movie.
It's taking on water, everybody. choking on water. And get ready, because Chance is really about to piss you off. Go ahead, Chance, talk.
Okay, so I will start by saying the positive thing about this. Yes, Jonah Hill is fantastic in this film. You're correct. He is working overtime. I think Margot Robbie does a great job. Shows why she became such a breakout actor this film. But Brooklyn, you said this is a 3-hour movie that feels like a 90-minute movie. I disagree. There's a 3-hour movie that at best feels like a 2-hour and 45-minute movie. Like, there's no reason for this to be 2.5 hours. And I get it. It's a big commentary on excess.
That's most Scorsese movies right there. They need like an hour cut out of them.
Shave a fucking 40 minutes to an hour off of this shit. And yeah, I think I've said on the show before, I don't think Leo's ever deserved Best Actor. And this I think is maybe his most overrated performance. It's basically just plays like a compilation of a greatest hits album of Leo. It's all this shit we've seen him do in every single movie he's ever done, plus a Quaalude scene. That's it. There's not a whole lot new, not a whole lot interesting that he's doing with this performance, that he's not doing anything else he's done. But I will say, I'm not. Hold on.
I didn't even play it.
I was gonna say we were actually revisit this, but God, yeah, Leo just puts me off with this movie just hardcore. So. And this is just the Leo show for 3 hours. So I'm not down with that.
Listen, I don't know who the fuck hurt you. I don't know why Leo hurt you, but listen,
Titanic.
He is a great actor.
I'm not saying he's
great
talentless
actor, and
I agree.
Titanic is great too. Titanic is great.
It's not.
Titanic is great.
I hate him.
Titanic is great. I don't know why the hate. Titanic is great.
It's better than Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm not gonna go that far. I'm not gonna go that far.
I will.
I don't endorse that statement.
Okay, so Wolf of Wall Street was Chance's third. Oh no, Chance. What's your third? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would also not disparage that as a comedy. It's definitely a comedy. For me, my number 3 is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I, like a lot of people, discovered this on Netflix when they have like just an absolute dog shit selection of movies. And you're like, what is this? And you turn on, you watch, and you find out that it's actually like really great. So what this movie is basically, it's a horror comedy. And it's about these two rednecks who basically get attacked by these college kids. Who, like, it's like a whole like misunderstanding thing. Like they think that they're like these slashes in a horror film, but that's not the case. I feel like these like big, like dumb, lovable idiots. But it's that kind of like genre flipping and like perspective flipping that I think works with that. I think it's gory. I think it's super gory, super fun. I think the kills that are orchestrated in this movie are hilarious. I think because like they're all done by accident. So I have like someone like jump into a wood chipper, or have someone like run into like the sharp end of a pitchfork. It's ridiculous. It's fun. I think Tyler Labine he's really funny. He's really likable. I like him a lot of TV shows. I think he's funny here. Alan Tudyk is great in the movie, and yeah, I think it's a really great deconstruction of this type of horror film. Whereas like in any other one, these guys would be the villains, they'd be like the slasher, but they take a more interesting approach to it, and they make them the hero. They make them the main characters. They make them kind of the victims in this case. And so I do like that. I think that's one that's kind of grown a following over the years. I think more people should watch it because it's hilarious and it's incredibly rewatchable.
I don't know if me and Chance were on Netflix at the exact same time, but this is the exact reason why I've seen this film. There was nothing to watch.
Nothing.
I think I finished an episode of something, and they put on this it was like the last thing of a scene, and this was the next thing they put in there, and I laughed my ass off for a good hour and 30 minutes of this movie. I think this movie is absolutely hilarious. I haven't seen it in a while, so again, I didn't travel back to Netflix, but when I first watched it, what a surprise film! And the more it's brought up, I feel like it needs to be talked about more. Just give it a shot because again, it's a quick watch. It may not be your favorite thing, but
I think it's on like Prime or Hulu or something. It's still out there streaming. So go get a watch.
Yeah, I think it absolutely deserves a watch. I think it's funny and it's quick. I was really surprised when you brought it up and then you described it the same way that I saw it. I think it's really funny. So go check out Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Has anybody else seen this movie?
I put it on round 3 in Full Metal. I thoroughly love this movie. I still say, well, officer, we've had a doozy of a day almost on a fucking weekly basis. Kids are murdering themselves all over these fucking two rednecks properties, and it's the fucking dumbest shit because it's just like if you'd stopped and had a conversation with somebody, which obviously isn't movie logic, you're not gonna fucking do that. But I think this movie's mad funny. And I put it on that list because nobody had seen it, and I thought more people needed to be exposed to this movie. So yeah.
I think it's very funny. I saw it actually when it very first came. Always funny, but they're especially great here. I'm a little surprised to see it on a top 10 list, especially all the way up at number 3. But I got no problem with it because it's a funny movie.
I grabbed the candy. That means I didn't see it.
I grabbed the candy.
Oh wow! I did not notice there was beef happening in the chat between Brooklyn and Lucas.
Oh, beef!
Fight!
Well, it's not broccoli.
All right. What's your number 2? And now it's going to be your correct number 2 that shows on the screen. Brian, what's your 2?
My number 2 is actually earlier. It is The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is a movie by Shane Black, who is probably my favorite writer working today and for a long time now. Him and Aaron Sorkin. But I love his voice. I love the way he does comedy. I love the way he does dialogue. I love the characters he creates. If you saw Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, this is very much the same kind of vein as that, and it's every bit as funny. I think people didn't realize how funny Russell Crowe could be. I think people also didn't realize how funny Ryan Gosling could be, and the two of them together are just perfect. And this is a good comedy story. It's a kind of a noir thing. It takes place in the 70s. But really, just everything about this movie worked for me. And I just watched it again like 2 days ago and loved it just as much as I did the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, Shane Black is great. I'll say this right now. Fuck the Predator. But when he hits, he fucking hits. And this is definitely one of his better directorial debuts. Grant has directed a whole lot of movies, but this and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang are like a really great like 1-2 punch. I agree with Brian. Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are a duo that I didn't think would work as well until I saw them, and they have great chemistry, have great timing. I think Gosling is hysterical in this film. Just everything with his daughter is great, and Gloria Rice too. Like she doesn't get credit for how good she is in this movie. Like the way she breaks out. I think the plot of it, I think it's funny, complicated to a funny degree.
I think all his plots get a little convoluted, but this kind of the plot secondary to this movie.
But I think in this one it works back because the fact that it's so complicated is made fun of in this movie. So I think that works. And yeah, I think the use of scenery is great. I think a lot of that set in 70s LA, and yeah, really really solid comedy that we should have gotten a sequel to.
Yeah, this will still be the thing that pisses me off the most. That not enough people went and saw this movie. That we will not get a sequel to it, because as soon as this movie was announced, I was definitely going to opening night to see it. It screamed. It was a Cody movie. I love this movie. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. I wish it got a sequel. I think Ryan Gosling is his funniest in this movie by far. I think, and Russell Crowe being the perfect straight man for his comedy. They work so well, especially the entire scene in that bathroom when he flips open the door like 14 times, dropping the gun. So good. It works so well in that movie. I'm so pissed that there will never be a sequel to this movie. I wish there was like an HBO series or something.
Put it on Max. Do something.
At one point, they were going to make one. Like the studio, Shane Black not involved, was going to try and make a spinoff called The Nice Girls, and it was going to suck. Luckily, that got canceled. So.
Well, fair. What does everybody else think about The Nice Guys?
It's sitting in my Hulu watch list.
You haven't seen it yet? Oh my god.
You're the part of the problem, Jay.
Leave right now. Go watch it.
I'll excuse you.
Pass.
That's true.
You know what I love? That Zach Ford's talking over there and think we're just all ignoring him, but he's muted and he has no idea, so he's going to just keep talking until he hits the unmute button.
Damn it. What I actually said too is I was like, Cody told me to yell over you, so I'm going to yell over you, and I'm yelling. Shit. My wife's behind me thinking I'm a weirdo.
Speaking of weirdo, anyways, doesn't matter.
But I like the movie quite a bit. It is really funny. It was a great moment for the little goose. I've had stock in him ever since his episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I'm glad it paid off. Him showing he can play this, creepy weirdo as well as his charming, sexy, crazy, stupid love characters. And Goosebumps, by the way.
Brooklyn
and Young Hercules.
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it. Okay.
Oh my god, you guys are the problem.
So, Lucas,
you're the problem in the whole world.
Lucas's response. Hold on, where was it? that haven't seen enough list is correct. Okay, go to your next one, Zach.
My number two, a movie I deeply love. This is like has been my what if of movie I've been trying to spread the love of for years, and that's Obvious Child. So Jenny Slate, I was ready for her just to have like this full career. I still actually support everything she does, but she's just so extremely charming throughout this and really hilarious. I would say where my like doubt with this movie has a lot of her humor is a little like scatological. She makes a lot of fart jokes, which is like not my thing, but just the way she's able to deliver it, is able to transcend that and be really charming and funny to me. This movie is, it's a romantic comedy about a woman going through an abortion. So right in that material, that might be too much for people, but they definitely make it work. The abortion scenes and the drama is really emotional, but she is also a stand-up comic. I think her comedy is the right level of funny to make it believable where she is. Jake Lacey, who plays the same character in everything he appears in, including High Fidelity, he's just played the same person. I pretend that in the show. But he's super charming throughout it. Really funny in a realistic, like, crush kind of way. They have great chemistry, and it has a great final romantic scene at the end. Obvious Child's the best. I watch it every day.
Thank you so much for putting this on your list. I enjoyed this movie so much. I thought Jenny Slate kills this movie. I think she's so good. And I was literally looking up her filmography just to see what else I could see her in. I think she's just great. Because the funny moments are, I think, super funny. I think she has such great comedic timing, especially with everybody that she's around. But the heart of this film also is so good. Like, it's touching and heartbreaking at the points that it needs to be, but then it brings you right back in with the comedy. Yeah, I had my doubts. I was a little skeptical, but I'm so glad I chose this movie to watch it yesterday, and it was a great time. This is like next to What If. I would recommend this movie if somebody wanted to see a comedy. I enjoyed it that much. Everybody else on Obvious Child?
Take a wild guess and say Brooklyn and Jay haven't seen it.
That would be correct.
I have seen it, but it's A24, so I didn't like it. So.
That's a weird.
That's not why I didn't like it, but just like most movies, I did not enjoy this.
I'll go back for this one because this one I initially didn't think of when making this list, but I'm glad you brought it up because one is really funny. Wouldn't have made my top 10, but I think Jenny Slate's she's incredibly hilarious, and I mean she's popped off in ways, mostly in television, like voice work, and she's really good at that.
Big Mouth,
yeah, hilarious in Big Mouth. But yeah, I think it's one more people should check out. It's kind of Big Sick-esque. It's in that same kind of vein, same kind of zone. So if that movie worked for you, I think that you'll like this. You'll love this one too. So this is one I would definitely another flew under the radar. So I would definitely recommend checking it out.
It's highly accessible for the way it's the plot may make it seem.
It's true. Yeah,
it is. It's very accessible. Okay, Jay, what's your 2?
My 2 is Megamind.
I'm sorry, Koho, I don't care. What's going on here?
Oh no! I thoroughly enjoy this movie. Look, we're talking. Yes, it's a Will Ferrell movie. I know a lot of people are over Will Ferrell movies. Get mad about it and turn off your camera type movie and walk away from the screen type movie. Also, apparently. But it's like the first movie that I can honestly think of that took the bad guy and thrust him into the spotlight where they actually had to kind of not be the bad guy, even though they're only the good guy because of the bad thing that they created sort of situation. This movie's great, dude. Like all of the scenes in this movie, well, almost all of the scenes in this movie are hilarious. I'm watching you like a dingo watches a hungry dingo watches a baby. No, Jonah Hill's funny in this movie. Tina Fey is great in this movie. Brad Pitt in a couple of scenes that he's in where he gets to kind of come through and be it's your time now. Oh no, Copper, my one weakness. I love you, random citizen. I love this movie, man. I could literally watch this movie every day of a month. The month might be February because it's short as shit, but I can still watch this movie every day for a month.
Yeah, so the only weakness of this movie is that my really, really, really good friend Kaleb Koho likes this movie. And when Kaleb likes movies, he talks about movies a lot, and he praises the movies, and he thinks they're great. I don't think it's that good. I think it's fine. I think it's middle of the road DreamWorks at best. There's a lot of other ones that I would check out over this one, and that's no shot at it. I think like Road to El Dorado, Shrek, The How to Train Your Dragon, stuff like that just rank higher for me in this one. But I can see why I wasn't the right age too when I watched the movie for the first time, and then when I rewatched it this year, wasn't the right age for it. If I was a little bit younger, I think maybe it would have caught me. But I just don't find it as funny as everybody else does. And Will Ferrell's at that point that is like not funny for me anymore. So I'm sorry, Koho, it's not that great. Same with it's Sky High, not that great. Go ahead, everybody else.
I like
way better than Sky High.
Oh,
I like it.
Sure.
I think it is.
But
I think
that
it's
doesn't take a
funny.
lot.
I think that it has some really good elements to it. I think the script is actually looking for a lot of great jokes. Oh, the spider. One bite for Ratnik, I think, and he just goes in his face. I think that's great. But number 2 of the decade, no, this is insane. This is an insane ranking. So this scares me. This scares me to think what your number 1 is, and I want to find out.
I wouldn't have put it on my top 10 of decade, but you know, if Jay loves it, he loves it. It's a funny movie. Just wouldn't make my top 10.
Haven't seen it.
What the fuck is happening right now with Zach?
This pick made me switch to some hard liquor. The beer was enough to handle this.
Fair. As long as you fucking making.
This is a lot of work I put in for a bit, and I am going to drink this. But it's good.
Okay. Brooklyn, what's your 2? And let's see how many arm flaps we get.
All right, so my number 2 is the Lego Batman movie. If we are talking funniest movies of the decade,
fine, we'll switch it right now. It's funniest movies, not comedies anymore. It's funniest movies.
If we're talking comedies, this has to be on the list. I was honestly torn between this one and the Lego movie because I also love Lego movie. But I think why I picked this one over the Lego movie is because that one you get more of a sense of joy. Like I remember seeing that in the theaters, and like I was grinning the entire time, but I wasn't like laughing like I was in like Lego Batman. This came out in I think the right time for DC. They had just done that slate of like not great movies. I think this would have been like right after Batman v Superman. I know it's that very like self-aware. Like yes, we made bad movies, but let's have some fun at it. Will Arnett is a awesome Batman. I wouldn't say he's the best Batman, but like in terms of comedic, right up there with Adam West. It still has some of the silliness. Like I think my favorite scene in the movie is it's him and Alfred. They're going over something, or I think it's Alfred being like, "You need to talk about your family," and then Batman's just like, "No." But it's him like flipping over the stairs, and it's kind of like that same Lego like stock animation sort of funny. Tons of supporting whenever they bring in like all the other villains, and then like when they bring in the TARDIS, and it's like, well, they can't talk about the TARDIS, but ask your parents about it after the movie. It's you know what I mean. It's the closest thing that we'll get to a comic book spoof movie, and I like that.
I mean, I saw a superhero movie. I know it's not true.
That took me off guard. This movie is garbage. This movie is bad. I don't like this movie at all. People have said this, oh, Cody, you got to go see this. This is one of the best Batman movies. Like, it'll be so funny. I stared at the screen for the entire runtime. I don't remember chuckling once. And then when I got out of it, Koho was talking how much he loved it, and that made me hate it more. I think this movie is atrocious. I don't even think they do a good job with it. They have the power of Lego, so they have so many properties that they're allowed to use in the film and stuff like that. But they just overdo it. They just throw everything at you. And like even when Batman's being like the funny Batman, I don't even find his like comedic timing funny. I'd rather watch Adam West run around with a bomb. So yeah, I'm gonna pass on this one being one of the funniest movies of the decade. I think this is not good at all.
3 scenes. Flipping through all the bat suits. Well, kids can be cruel like that. And yeah, I have 2 dads. Funniest things about this movie.
I dropped my ice cube on the ground, and now there's like weird shit in my drink, and that's mostly what I've been paying attention to. But Lego Batman movie in theaters, I thought was really funny, but then I just got like some serious Lego movie fatigue, and all the movies are kind of like running together. Once like I watched Ninjago, it kind of just tainted all the other Lego movies for me. I kind of just it became predictable in the sense of at least the type of humor you kind of knew what you're going to get to. It just kind of lost its sheen.
I consider this kind of like Megamind, although I actually think this is a lot funnier than Megamind, but wouldn't have made my top 10 list, but it is a very funny movie, so I have no problem with it being on the list. I don't understand why you would want to watch Adam West's Batman, because nothing's good or funny about that, but okay.
Okay. I'm not even going to touch that one, but I mean, I don't know why you're freaking out, bro, because this is a comedy, so this does qualify even under either list parameters, so, and you know what, yeah, I will agree with you. This movie is very funny. This is not when I was thinking of comedies potentially be on my list. This is not one that crossed my mind, but no, yeah, I do find this one very funny. I don't understand Cody's big hang up on it, but whatever. This is a good pick. I wouldn't have it on my list, but it's a good pick.
You don't have to understand me, but my show works the way it does because I'm the only opinion that matters. I'm just excited to see this Lucas and Brooklyn beef carry on for weeks now. This is going to be fun. We're going to chance for your 2.
Number 2 is a yikes from earlier. That is Paddington 2. Paddington 2 is just it's a joy of the film. It really is. I think that the first Paddington is near flawless. I think that it's really excellent, and you see this one, you're like, okay, it's gonna be classic kind of sequel to a great film. It's gonna fuck it up somehow. It's not gonna be as good, but it's managed to be even better. And I think that it just puts Paddington like really funny scenarios. Like they send him to jail. They have a guy who's an actor who's like robbing places as different characters from his show. I think that's funny. Hugh Grant, I think, is hilarious in this movie. Best performance of the film. I know Zach disagrees, and I'll let him air his love for Brendan Gleeson later. But I think he's awesome. I think that what works is the fact that it's British humor, so it can be very dry, and so if you don't like that, you're not going to dig this. But I dig it. I think that the verbal bits work. I think the physical comedy is actually very funny because it's actually it's intricate. It can be sly. It's fascinating, and it's a movie that I can watch, and I struggle to say anything like really bad about it. It's pure joy, it's pure whimsy, which means Cody is gonna rip it apart in a couple minutes, but Zach gets to say nice things about it before he does.
I think the most important thing about Paddington 2 is the production design. It's really lovely and beautiful and imaginative. But for real, also the use of color that Paul King has throughout the Paddington movies is really inventive and just beautiful to look at. But in this movie, it plays to the comedy because they use like the way the pink combines with the black and the prison outfits as like Paddington fucked up, and that's what someone says to Paddington every day. Paddington, you fucked up today, and he made the prison uniforms, half pink and black, and that sight gag, really works, and that visual aesthetic really aids to that. The visual aesthetic really aids to, a lot of the jokes really work, especially the slapstick comedies. The barber scene is really funny, and that's really helps trick kids and know why to watch a movie that has a lot more emotion and heart than I think they're watching. But yeah, Brendan Gleeson was one of my favorite supporting actors of the year. He is definitely better than Hugh Grant, and people try to get him an Oscar instead is insane to me, just because he had a bigger kind of role. But Brendan Gleeson playing the tough guy Knuckles that gets sucked in by Paddington is just like pure Paddington. Him sucking in these unlikely characters, these kind of gruff different characters into his world because they get charmed by him is the full what Paddington's all about, which is bringing humanity to all different kinds of people. And Brendan Gleeson perfectly hits that, and no one acts better with an animated there.
I don't know why anybody thinks I'm gonna rip this apart.
Did you hate Joy?
No,
Yeah.
that's not true.
You hate Winnie the Pooh. Is that why you hate bears that are lovely and humane?
Okay. Oh well, this is a good bear. I think Paddington and Paddington 2 are just a delightful film. I think they're just super, like, there's nothing negative to say about them. Like, if you're expecting something amazing, like at a certain age, you're not. But I enjoyed, like, my kids watched previously. I rewatched it just recently. I think it holds up really good. And this one does what a sequel should. It takes the adventure somewhere else, but like it carries on that carries on the story, but makes it enjoyable, and they don't like overdo it, and they don't go too over the top. They stay true to the character of Paddington and stuff like that. So no, I thoroughly enjoy Paddington 2. I think it's a great film. It's very funny too. That entire prison scene, that entire moment with them is hilarious. I think it's great. So no shots for me. I don't think maybe this high. I think it could be in the list, but this is a little high. But I enjoy Paddington 2 a lot. Everybody else?
This is a movie character that his favorite snack is a sandwich, and I have I've had no interest to see either movie. So take that into consideration.
What the effing fuck? Wow.
But you had the interest to watch what Between the Ferns movie?
Between the Two Ferns, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Is that it? Everybody talked? We're moving
I
on?
have never seen either Paddington movie, so.
Okay.
I've almost watched them a couple times, but I just never do. And then Boatman told me it's not a Brian kind of movie, so I didn't bother.
Almost only Captain Horse Grenades, Brian.
Okay.
I assume any movie I love is probably not a Brian movie, so just ignore that.
Yeah, I feel like we'll see the review come up on Letterboxd, and we'll all just shed a tear. So maybe just stay away from it.
Yeah, no, just stay away. You're
I
fine.
have nothing against it. I just nothing.
We know,
didn't feel like watching it.
but it's just like, oh, when those reviews come, it's just like, oh, that hurts a little bit more than it should. All right, Brian, what's your one?
Okay, here's where I get rid of any goodwill I built up with Cody, because he liked some of my earlier picks. My number one, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. This is a movie that I think is hilarious. I love the style of it. It's unique. It's great. Now, this is a movie, though, also that has been worn out by this community. So it's been talked about so much and used so much in trivia and all these kind of things. And I think, though, that I try and separate the movie itself from like the hype around the movie, or people talking too much about a movie. And so when I think about just the movie itself, I just love it. I think it's the funniest movie I saw of the decade. And actually, the first time I saw it, people were raving about it at the time, and I didn't even. It hurt my opinion of it a little bit at the beginning because of that same hype. But then once I rewatched it, kind of with some space, I've loved it more every time I watch it. And yeah, that's all there is to it.
And no one else has it. No one. Okay, well, good. You're all
not at one, bro. Not at one, bro.
I now have an F just because of that.
No, I again, I hate this movie. I just hate this movie. It's definitely Michael Cera in it. I just don't enjoy that. The hype of this movie was at an all-time high when I saw it. Never even came close to living up to the hype. I think it's shot well, but I watched it with people on call. One of them is no longer in this community. That could have also hurt this movie a lot. It's just a bad time for me. I didn't like the character of Scott. I didn't think he's that great of a character. I definitely didn't laugh, so that doesn't help at all. So yeah, bad. Everybody else talking about Scott Pilgrim.
You were a vegan. Now you're be gone. No, dude. This movie's okay. Like, pass. Just no. We're not even getting into the problematic issues with Scott Pilgrim being a 24-year-old man dating a 17-year-old child in high school. We're not even going to touch that. This movie's just no. It gets worse and worse the more you watch it.
I did rewatch this year for shiggles, as they would say, and I almost turned it off on the first Evil X alone. Like that whole section is like 0 out of 5 bad. Like technically.
Oh, but Pirates are in right now.
Oh yeah. All right, cool. But yeah, it's fine. Not top 10 comedies though.
Zach?
I was thought I was going to be the hater, but now I feel like I'm going to be the biggest defender. I think I'm Brian because I like the movie enough. I just like if I rated it when I was 21 years old, this like would have been on my list. Like I loved it when I saw it in theaters. I was 21 in 2010. But I rewatched it a couple years ago, and it definitely, some of the parts in the humor didn't hit as strong, but I still find some of the lines really funny, some of the characters really funny. I do think some of the director choices and the video game aspects can be a little bit obnoxious, and that wears off. But for the most part, I still think the movie works, and I understand why people love it. It's just a style that can be a little too much for me.
I mean, I also like this film. I think that the UXs are a lot of fun. I think that visually it's really cool. Your enjoyment of this film does hinge on your Michael Cera tolerance, which is why Cody's is very low, which is why he doesn't like it very much. But this is easily Edgar Wright's worst film. That's kind of someone who does enjoy it. But yeah, no, this is bottom of the barrel for him.
Yeah.
Okay, Zach, what's your number one?
It's me, guys. This was already predicted. It's the Muppets, but we're making a first because I've been fighting for this rule for a long time. That I do think that sometimes movies should be retired because they get talked about too much. I'm taking my personal stance that I'm going to retire movies for me. I've talked about Muppets and all Muppet things too much, and I'm a little sick of being like the Muppet guy. I just want there to be like more to me. Like I love them.
It's too late.
So it's officially all Muppet related things on your list sucks is retired. This is the last time I'm going to bring it up. Just assume it's my number one. So Muppets is, I think earlier I said the funniest movie line for line is probably They Came Together, but the Muppets. It's really it's the movie is about joy. Like that's the main thematic premise is just being able to have joy with the people around you and get the opportunity to bring joy to the masses. That's what they're trying to do. And the movie admits that in every second possible. I also think that a big thing that this and Muppets Most Wanted has to its advantage that the early movies did not is Brett McKenzie. I think Brett McKenzie, different than the songwriters from earlier movies, Paul Williams, is that he made the songs funny. The songs in the early movies weren't jokes and humor. The songs are listenable and great, and it's like solid music. That's the magic of what Flight of the Conchords did, while still being, super hilarious throughout. And some of the funniest moments are of the Muppets and Most Wanted are through the songs. I mean, Man or Muppet, won the Oscar. Really, it's just a really great joke. The song and a visual gag. Cody's yawning, and I feel really bad about myself right now.
You're good. You're good. No, sorry.
Kermit's my spirit animal, and he inspires me to live every day better. Let's move on.
Well, that was also Yak for me because I had this at 7, and yeah, I mean, I've always had like a big soft spot for the Muppets. I think they're really funny. I think the movies are all really good. But something I like about this is the fact that they do touch on the fact that Muppets are kind of irrelevant, and is then kind of like coming back to relevancy. And another thing I do like about the fact that something about every Muppet movie, the fact that every human actor just commits 100% when they're really acting aside like felt hand puppets. It's like the idea, the concept like on paper is ridiculous, and they play it so straight that it's straight up funny. I think that Siegel did a great job with the writing and acting. I think that Amy Adams, the two of them together are great. I think Chris Cooper is really funny in the movie, and yeah, I mean, highlight of the movie, the song. I think Brett McKenzie. I'm a massive fan of Flight of the Conchords. I think they're hilarious. So yeah, I think that bringing him in to do Muppet songs was it's an inspired choice, and I think he knocked it out of the park. So yeah, Muppets, and ready for Cody to rant for a hot minute.
I do want to clarify my retirement real quick. It's retired with the exception of when I made Cody is really nice enough to let me on a top 100 show. If that happens, Muppets are back in play. But for any regular show, it's out of play.
I watched this movie for the first time, and it's probably one of the first Muppet movies that I've actually watched besides Muppet Christmas Carol. I watched it after Knights of Ren played Mischief Managed for the Phantom titles, and I was on watching Bond, and I got to Roger Moore Bond, and I was in a very, very dark place. And I said, you know what? I could get no lower than this. Let's try the Muppets. And it was very, very good. It was a delightful film. It was very funny. It was hilarious throughout. I even apologized to Zach Ford in that review. I think I said, I'm sorry I took this long to watch it. It's a fantastic movie. I know this Community gets talked about, but honestly, when you think about it, like being part of like the Disney live action kind of thing, no one really talks about the Muppets like outside. And I think, honestly, it's that good. I haven't seen Most Wanted. I just kind of stayed away from Most Wanted, but I think this movie is, with music and everything, I think it's really strong. So I have no problem. One, of course, would be high on my list, but with Zach retiring, I will give him a pass at that point. Everybody else with the Muppets.
It was fine. There's other Muppet movies I like better, and there's Muppet movies I like worse. It was just okay.
2 weeks stole my joke in the chat. I was going to go maniacal laugh, but he took it. It's fine. It was in my short list. So.
That's very anticlimactic.
Wow. I just want to remember Cody saying he hated Muppets.
The fucking happiest movie.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
No, I don't enjoy Muppets. Like I watched Muppet Treasure Island, and I literally wanted to rip my eyeball.
Well, that's the worst one.
Space Exists.
It's like the least Muppety one. No, Space is good. But Treasure Island is the least Muppety. But.
Fair.
Tim Curry.
Jay, what's your one?
My one is something I skipped from earlier. It's What We Do in the Shadows. So my number one. I purely love this movie. It is cringe comedy, like The Office meets vampires. Taika Waititi does phenomenal in this movie. The bitch, that whole setup throughout the entire movie is just, it's great. The human. I love this movie. I don't want to get into it a lot because I will start to fucking stutter. I literally just bought this movie on YouTube fucking 2 days ago because I hadn't seen it and it was on sale. I hadn't seen it in a long time and it was on sale and I picked it back up and I laugh so much in this movie. It's cringy. Like when they're in the fucking kitchen and they're fighting and the cops come in and they've just hypnotized the cops. It's just like, how do you not see this? Oh, they're hypnotized. The small moments in this movie make me laugh more than the big, oh, we're gonna get into a fight with a bunch of werewolves. Go fetch. I think that's like honestly, that line still fucking makes me laugh to this day. What We Do in the Shadows is my number one.
I mean, I will disagree that I don't think it leans as far as for cringe comedy, but I do think that there's a great balance in this. I mean, again, it can be dry at times, which if that doesn't work for you, something we've seen won't work for you. But it's so very like you have like the dry, you have the dialogue based comedy, you have like the absurdist, like just weird imagery, you have like the gore exploitation comedy. It just hits every level. I think Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, both as directors and as actors, they're fantastic. I think it was incredibly quotable. I love the concept of it. You're basically making a reality show of vampires, and like they're basically like kind of like real world. Like you have like one who's like 8,000 years old. You have like the one who's like 1,200 years old. He's like the young like rebel type guy. I think that's I like when they bring the Nick into the vampire. I like the reaction with Nick's human friend. This is one that I can watch every time and just I can laugh hysterically. I think this is definitely Taika Waititi's best film. And it's my favorite comedy in the 2010s.
Yes, I had it at number 8. I did make a kind of gut decision to include this or Hunt for the Wilder People. I only wanted one Taika movie. I went with What We Do in the Shadows. I do think that the TV show maybe helps this like thrive on in my mind because it works in the same spirit and it's just as great. But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows, I think Taika Waititi does a great job at balancing out like what could be really obvious, vampire jokes, which I think are there, but adding just enough wit and spin and delivery. Mainly, it's the delivery of these jokes that really matter, that make them work. And this is a nice tie off of the Muppets because it's the Flight of the Conchords connected with Jermaine Clement, very underrated, comic actor that I think had a very specific style that he was able to bring into 2010 Comedies. What's more important is I saw this on St. Patrick's Day with my brothers in the historic Music Box Theater in Chicago, and I was not drinking because I'm a snob, and I do drink, but I can't drink at St. Patrick's Day when everyone else is drinking. That's just embarrassing. But I did have one beer, and I spilled it all over the theater, so people thought I was this drunk fuck, and it was a very embarrassing moment in my life. That's what I mainly remember about this movie. Okay.
I don't get the hype. I don't get the hype. I watched it for the very first time yesterday. I just didn't understand the hype of it. I think it was fine. Lucky it was short. It didn't overstay its welcome like it was. It had those moments that made me chuckle, but I didn't absolutely love. And I've had Kane McMillan, probably the biggest Taika Waititi fan, scream this movie. So when I got to it, I was like, dude, Kane doesn't normally steer me wrong. And it's not a bad movie. I won't say it's bad. I didn't hate my time during it. I just wanted to laugh all the time. And it fell flat a lot.
It's also not a very you movie.
Fair.
It doesn't scream you. So I'm glad I finally got it off my list to watch. It was on my list for so long, and I didn't hate it. Just wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be. Brian Brooklyn, have you seen it?
I have.
Okay, so
I actually agree with Cody. It was fine. There are some really funny parts to it. I think he's wrong though, in about the overstaying its welcome. Because I think one of the things that hurt it is this format, that office style format. I think works better in short form, which is actually why I think I actually enjoy the series more. I mean, although the cast in the movie is better, the series I almost enjoy a little more because it's short little episodes as opposed to doing this format for an hour and a half. It gets kind of okay, there's a lot of lulls in it. There's some dead space, but there are some funny parts to it. But I also have never kind of considered it one of the best.
All right, and the moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh God!
To close out the show.
Right.
The Canadian Boss Man. What is it?
I'm gonna get these ready because there could be some discrepancy. So I once used a vibrating toothbrush, and then I got a horrible UTI. My number one is Booksmart.
Okay.
So this is my favorite movie of the decade, or no, not favorite decade. Favorite movie of 2019. Favorite comedy. I watched it last week. Showed it to my cousin for the first time, and there's so much to pick up in this. This is the best of the Superbad-esque sort of one night gone wrong. There's so many different things to look so many different little things. Whenever the teacher has sex with the students, and then they meet up after the graduation, and then it's just very subtly you hear AAA going, "Did you fuck Miss Fine?" And there's a quick edit. There's many moments like that. Lisa Kudrow has another one when they're talking about leaving to go to the parties or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we'll probably just do a Korean face mask. We didn't need to know the names of those, but have fun." The other thing that I wanted to mention about this is that I wanted to talk about it actually in Game Night, and that Gigi and Jesse Plemons in Game Night are essentially the exact same character, but Gigi is essentially just a polar opposite of that character trait, and I know that Boatman loves that performance especially. It is good. I know that the animated trippy scene is not one that is adored by Cody, but I think it kind of still gives it that charm. Also, the soundtrack of this fucking slaps. And yes, Adelaide. Yeah.
Okay. I like this movie a lot. It's in my rewatch that I'm probably doing in January of movies that I haven't seen since only one time. I like this movie a lot. I've already said it. There's one scene in this movie that completely takes me out of it. But I've also said last week, I think Caitlin Devers, is that her name? Caitlin Devers?
Yeah, Caitlin Devers.
Yeah.
I think she's one of the I think she's one of the best young actresses working today. I can't wait to see what she does next. Her Short Term 12, this movie, I think she has so much potential and so many great opportunities. I think she's absolutely great in this movie. I think this movie Could have been overhyped for me a little bit, but I honestly think it works. I think maybe one's a little high because it just came out. I haven't watched it again, but again, comedy is subjective, so I can't tell you you're wrong for having it in one. But at least it is a comedy. I will say that. So everybody else,
I did good, guys. I got somebody informed Lucas. I put a comedy in my 2010s comedy list.
I'm proud of you.
They're all comedies, and I agree with believing you.
What does everybody else think of Booksmart?
I think it's good. I actually rewatched it during quarantine because my mom and sister hadn't seen it. And like it is good. When it's funny, it's really funny. There's certain jokes that they run into the ground, and they do that quite a bit through the movie. And that's one of my bigger problems with it. But yeah, I do enjoy it. Wouldn't crack my top 10. I think pretty sure I have comedies I liked more from that year. I know I definitely did, but I can't think of any offhand. But yeah, no, definitely a good movie.
I'm not sure it's a movie I would watch with my mom and sister, but just because it'd be awkward moments there. But what's that?
Depends on your mom. I watched Knocked Up.
I'm the cool mom, you know.
Yeah, cool mom.
But I mean, I like the movie. I remember I saw it at advanced screening like a couple weeks early, and then I was trying to tell everybody they should go see this movie, and of course nobody went and saw it in theaters apparently, because it's another one that kind of unjustly bombed at the theaters. But people found it, but also it's one that in this community has become one of those movies that people talk about so much that I kind of don't want to watch it again because I'm sick of hearing about it. But based on just the movie itself, yes, it's a very funny movie.
I do think
we get it. We took movie theaters for granted.
Anybody else? Has everybody else?
Yeah. No, I do think that of many of the movies we mentioned, that this one I think does have a good chance of living on. I think it has picked up an audience, no matter how disappointing it was. But I think, critically and fan base has developed a pretty strong base. I do want to say I'm pretty disappointed because I can't remember lines from movies. So I thought Brooklyn was about to just tell like a great UTI toothbrush story. And this is like a real Zach approach to like talking about your movie and letting it go, and it didn't happen. But it's okay. We'll all live on. But yeah, I like Booksmart a lot. Michael Bryan's, this is his second appearance. He was also in Sort of Trust. He is the great SNL, unsung great SNL guy. Everyone should watch Bible Birds again because that will live on forever in my heart. Michael Bryan.
Okay. Shut up. We've reached the end of the show. We're here.
2.5 hours.
I love this.
Hey, with 5 people, it could have went a lot worse.
I done 2.5.
That's what she said.
I think we did one of them, and it was like almost 3 hours. It was crazy. So I guess to announce the winners first before we do the combined list. The winner of the show, getting a B+ is Chance Ellison. Chance Ellison wins this week. What do we do in the shadow? I don't understand, but Paddington 2, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, The World's End, Game Night, Muppets, Nice Guys. I Want to See 4 Lions, 21 Jump Street, only one to have it. You had a solid list through and through, no issues whatsoever. Second place, which I can't believe I'm saying this, especially with number 1, it's a C+. It is Brian Michaels. Had Nice Guys, had What If, had This Is the End, Pop Star, Jojo Rabbit I enjoy, 7 Psychopaths I enjoy, MacGruber I haven't seen, Vinci I haven't seen. Scott Pilgrim is a weak spot, but guess what? There's other weak spots. Third place goes to Zach Ford. Zach had The Muppets and Obvious Child. I absolutely love that one. Thanks for bringing that on. Lady Bird was your one weakness. Francis Ha is a movie I'm just not allowed to watch. And then you had some that I just want to, and then you had Hail Caesar. So that's your choice. This was the tough one at the end of the day. Who gets last? Who gets first? I'm not sure. The only reason this person came in first, and I don't even know if they're comedies at times, you had Bridesmaid the highest. You also had Wolf of Wall Street, and you had Booksmart. So I'm going to give it a second. Brooklyn, I'm going to give you a C-. Quality through and through. Not really. Not even close. Always be what maybe made me mad for putting it on there. Good Boys Too Soon. Cabin in the Woods was not a comedy. I don't know what you laughed at during that, but I need to talk to you in a maybe a therapy session. The only reason Big Sick quality. Big Sick was quality. The Dictator I give you credit for. Bridesmaids and The World's End. You just had some bad choices like Megamind. What we do in the shadow, but again, it's your list. You're allowed to. I say D+. not bad. Your combined list. Your combined list is Obvious Child, Deadpool, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Booksmart, Muppets, The World's End, Nice Guys, Game Night, Paddington 2, and What We Do in the Shadow is the one best movies of 2010s. Guys, thank you guys for a great year of YLS. We had a blast. We did a lot of good things. But for the next 8 to 10 weeks, we are off. We will not have another show on a Wednesday. Next is this Top 100 series. We worked really hard on this is the last Top 100 that we'll pre-record. We will always do live ones from now on, but we will still take time off. Nazario, Mike, Cameron, and Andrew Barr. The final 2 episodes and the recap special will be live. So when we return, I would appreciate everybody joining us. Koho deserves a break. He's done great stuff this entire year with me. He's produced every show. He's came in and hosted, so I appreciate it. Next year is going to be a lot of great topics that we're going to have. Again, I want guest hosts. I want different lists. I want to have some fun people back on. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this entire year. And thank you guys for being on the final episode.
Of course.
Everybody have great holidays and a great new year. We'll see you next year.
My God, what just happened?
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Return to your lady friend. Duncan, please return to your lady friend.
Long live the king.
Hasta la vista, baby.